like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. How y'all doing tonight, man? It's Thursday, man. We got one more day until Friday, till the weekend on a short week, man. So I tell you, that day, one day makes a hell of a difference in the week, man. I tell you what. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in what I call Reaction Thursday, man. We're going to be reacting to several videos, man. several videos, man. And of course, a big congratulations to the living legend himself, Drew Brees, man. Drew Brees was unanimously voted into the Saints Hall of Fame, not the actual Hall of Fame. That'll be coming much later. But we knew this was going to happen because Drew's the best. Drew's the best quarterback the Saints have ever known, owns all of the records, literally a Saints football living legend amongst the family members, and one of the biggest, if not one of the largest enigmas in the Who Dat Nation is why isn't Drew Brees in some type of position connected to the Saints, whether that's some type of council position, something in an official capacity to the Saints. You know, when you have a guy who did it right for the black and gold like Drew for many years, something could be gained by that. So we'll touch on that. We'll play a portion of Drew's Hall of Fame speech. He talked about several things right here. This article is from John DeSacer. Shout out to John. He talked about several things, man, and this article mentions a few things that it touches on. Of course, Drew felt like he mentioned the fact that he wanted to, he was thinking about coming back, coming back and playing again, which, I'm glad he didn't, because he gave the Saints everything he had. He really did. When he retired, he talked about him not having the ability to use his right arm to throw the ball with. He gave everything, man. He got to throw left-handed, learn how to throw left-handed because he kind of tore his body up going through the rigors of the NFL season. He sacrificed much, man. But shout out to the fan. Appreciate y'all being here. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over a couple other interviews. Dennis Allen popped up on the Rich Eisen show. If you didn't hear that, we'll play that. Also, Dereck Carr popped up on Chris Long's show. If you guys didn't see that, we'll play that. So that's why I called it Reaction Thursday. A lot of stuff to talk about and listen to today. So you guys get you some popcorn, put your feet up and just chill over the next hour and some change. And we'll kind of slow walk this thing. So shout out to OG Jerry. Shout out to you. Good to see you, brother JT. How you doing? Sir Josh in this thing. Cartel Bowles in this thing. Much love, fam. Young City 9. Big ups to you. Much love. Yin, how you doing, sir? Appreciate you. Brother Kai's in this thing. How you doing, my brother? Appreciate you for stopping by as always. Congrats to the GOAT. Indeed, man. Slim, brother Slim is in this thing. Shout out to Slim. Tory, brother Tory Shepard Sr. always representing. Much love to brother Tory. Big ups to the Queens and Dana. Good to see you out there, brother Clarence. How you doing, sir? Much love. Good to see you in the stream as well. Tuck, much love to Tuck. Good to see you. St. Doug, how you doing, fam? Appreciate you for being here as well. And big ups to everybody, man. Thank you guys, man, for showing some love to the Coma. Brother Quavadius is in this thing. Carr said Kubiak holding him accountable early. And he likes that. He did say that. He said that twice before. Well, he said that in the OTA interviews. And like I said, when we had all this, we talked about all this, and we talked about what kind of leadership you need to have when you're going up against these people. You need to have leadership that's going to be able to press the talent, who'll be able to set up. And like I said, when Clint Kubiak stepped on the scene, his biggest thing, I was like, how accountable is this guy? Because we don't need a redo of what we seen with Pete Carmichael. We need somebody that's a lot more disciplined, a lot more attention to detail driven, a lot more accountable. We need guys that's going to really make these guys do what they're supposed to do. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, lay down the discipline. That's what we needed. And it appears they've finally found the correct persons, good staff. We'll see. All right. Shout out to Barbara. Good to see Barbara in this thing. Shout out to Queen Barbara. Brother James, how you doing, sir? Good to see you in this thing as well. Appreciate everybody, man. Good to see you. T Mama, shout out to T Mama. I know she watching. Shout out to her as well. Always representing. Big ups to the fam. All right, so fam, I'm not gonna hold you too long up long with the introduction and whatnot. Let's just get into it. Let's touch down on it. We're gonna start with Dennis Allen. Okay, we're gonna start with Dennis Allen. We're gonna listen what Dennis Allen had to say to Rich Eisen. So you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then feel free to share the show on your social media feeds. Shout out to the Gram, shout out to Twitch, shout out to Facebook, shout out to Twitter. If you're on Twitter or X, please give me a re-X. Oh, that's my branding right there. Re-X, as it causing it a retweet. Let's re-X it. That's how about that. Give me a re-X on X. It's still a retweet. I don't get it. All right. So anyway, here we go.
On the Rich Eisen Show is the head coach of the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Trapstar. How you doing, fam?
Dennis Allen. Good to see you, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rich, man. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you coming on. What does a coach do at the end of May, early June? What's life like? What are you up to?
Oh man, this is my favorite time of year. You know, you've gotten through the draft, you have your draft picks, you have your signed free agents, and we're able to get out here and practice football. You know, without the stress of winning and losing games. We're able to get out here and really coach and teach, and it's a fun and exciting time.
Yeah, I mean, coaching and
easy money.
Really, that's part of the job still. That actually is part. Wow, what a concept!
It's actually the best. It's actually the best part of the job, man. That's why we got into doing what we do. It's working with these guys and trying to help improve them. Look, not only as football players, but also as individuals.
I bet. So what does one coach or teach to professionals at this point in time of the year? What are you doing?
Pretty much everything. You know, we start every year anew, and we start and teach all the basic fundamentals from step 1 all the way through steps 10, 11, and 12, and so. You don't really want to assume anything. You want to make sure you're teaching these guys, all of them, as if it was the first time that they've ever heard it. And look, offensively, there's a lot of things that are the first time that they've ever heard it. And so there's a huge attention to detail there. And yet, even though we've been in the same system here since 2017 defensively, we still teach everything like it's day one install.
Are you talking hip drop tackles, anything like that? Is that you get that deep?
We haven't really talked a whole lot about that. I feel like this really, this isn't that time of year where we're getting into, the physical battles and the tackling aspect. We're still teaching tackling. And so the hip drop tackle has never been anything that we've taught. It hadn't been, something that we've utilized or taught. I think as we get into training camp and we get a little closer to playing games, we'll start talking a little bit more about what that looks like. And like I said, quite honestly, I haven't thought a ton about it because that's not a tackling technique that we've utilized or taught. And so we haven't put a lot of focus on it.
Okay. Dennis Allen here on the Rich Eisen Show. Offensive install with a new OC in Clint Kubiak. What can you shed light on that front?
Well, look, I think it's been awesome. The attention to detail that our offensive staff is put into place, I think has been really outstanding. I think what we're seeing from our offense is going to help our whole football team. There's a long time here where, we saw a lot of the same plays, a lot of the same personnel groupings, same motions. And I think if you see them year in and year out, you kind of anticipate what's coming. And so I think both offensively because it's new, and then I think defensively because we're seeing a lot of different looks. I think it's been greatly beneficial to us.
Dennis Allen once again says attention to detail, and just preference this because when we do these shows, remember we've been doing this for a while, and over the last couple of years, listen, fam, I've heard all of Dennis Allen's interviews. I got a pretty good memory. I've heard all of his stuff. anything that I got from whatever New Orleans put out or whoever doing it, I hear all of his stuff. Something might get here, miss me here or there, but not too much because whatever I don't catch, family members always send it to me. Shout out to GM Kev, Professor, and several others. Always constantly sending me stuff. Say, Q, listen to this, check this out, check this out. DC, shout out to my dog DC. He always sending me stuff too. You know, hey man, you need to listen to this. So what I'm saying is very few things get past me when we talking about Dennis Allen, his interviews, and a lot of stuff out of the Saints building, period. So when I hear this stuff, it strikes differently. What I mean by that is Dennis Allen just mentioned attention to detail. That has been a buzzword of the last several weeks dealing with the Saints. He applied it to the Saints offense. Then he said that the Saints, with the attention to detail on the Saints offense, can help the whole team. That's what he just said. Now, what that means is what it means is the offense attention to detail could be a example on what the team should do or what the team should follow, right? So I think, and that's one of the things that hurt the Saints under Dennis Allen over the last couple of years, and that's why I've said this guy finally got it. They finally got it. We kept saying it over and over again. It took a while, but a lot of the things that Dennis Allen and his coaches are saying is stuff that we've been saying for the last couple of years. We've been saying this stuff over and over and over again. So when I hear it, I'm like, man, these people finally got it. So here we go.
Difference it going to be from what Saints fans are used to seeing from obviously all the years of your predecessor being there and having that spill over into your first couple of years? Dennis?
Yeah, I think probably significantly different. I think we've been a lot of what we call 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end in the game. And I think we're probably going to see a little bit more, 2 tight ends in the game. We're going to see a little bit more, fullback being utilized in the game. We're still going to have, some of the things that we've had in terms of the drop back passing game and utilizing, 3 wide receiver sets and things of that nature. But, I think you're going to see a little bit more, motion and things like that to try to, mess with the defense's eyes a little bit. So I think it'll be, significantly different in terms of how we package things. Look, the reality is there's only so many things that you can do from an offensive standpoint in terms of scheme. There's certain run plays that everybody runs, and how do we dress them up differently, and how do we coach it better, to where our players can execute it better. And that's the same thing in the passing game.
Dennis Allen, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Draft night, we haven't spoken since then. What was it like to be in the middle of the first round of a draft where quarterbacks went 6 of the first dozen? You're sitting there, and I'm sure, again, you're not in this quarterback game, and unless you were, you know what I mean? Like it kind of is a bit of a mystery what your approach might have been and what it was like to watch all those quarterbacks go right in front of you. Dennis.
Yeah, look, the reality is I was kind of excited to see all the quarterbacks go because at the spot that we were picking at, quarterback wasn't a high priority at that spot. And so when you see those quarterbacks going, that means they're pushing some other players down the board to you. And so I felt like this year, a lot of things kind of lined up for us in terms of how we had players graded on the board and in terms of what our needs were. And so obviously offensive tackle was a huge need for us. We felt like it was a really good draft for offensive tackles. And we felt like, in particular, once the quarterback started going off the board, we felt like there was a good chance that one of those guys was going to fall to us, and certainly, that happened.
And if you're willing to share, I'll ask anyway. Surprised by the rival in your division 8th overall, choosing one of those rookie quarterbacks?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I was a little surprised that they did that, and yet, I think anytime you identify somebody that you think has a chance to be your quote unquote franchise quarterback, then I don't ever think that's a bad move to take that player. So yeah, certainly I was a little surprised by that, and I know that that's a player that they're really one of the two, Kirk Cousins or Michael Penix, one of the two is not going to be on the field, and so that's one less weapon that they have.
Taliesin Fuanga is the guy that you chose, and is he plug and play left tackle for you?
Yeah, I think that's the thought process right now, is that we're going to start him out on the left side. That's where we've been working him the last couple of weeks. He's looked pretty good over there. I tell you, the thing that I really like about the player, I think he's a tough, nasty player. And I think that's something that we can use up front on our offensive line. I think offensively, our ability to be a little bit more physical, a little bit more nasty, I think is something that we need to be.
And you're going to serve more Kool-Aid on Bourbon Street, I guess, now that you drafted that kid?
This is the thing, to kind of talk about the Fuaga thing, and the same verbiage was used in terms of describing Trevor Penning a couple of years ago when they took Penning from, what was it, Northern Iowa? The same exact verbiage was used: tough, nasty offensive lineman. Now, listen, I don't think Fuaga will have a campaign like you've seen with Trevor Penning. I think Fuaga, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I think both of these guys, both Penning and Fuaga, will benefit greatly from Clint Kubiak's offense. John Benton he talked a lot about that. And we get clues and context clues from these guys when they talk. Question was asked to Clint Kubiak the other day, a couple of days ago, about what kind of offense is this? And Clint Kubiak pretty much said it depends on the players. So, I didn't like that response. I'm like, okay, you tell the players. So was that a bit of window dressing based on commentary that I've heard him say before? Because he's basically dictating what the offense is going to be. He said that it's going to be a running attack. We're going to run the ball, this, that, and the third. Because that's truth of the matter is that's what pretty much, if you look at what the systems that they were doing, is predicated on the run. They set up the run for the pass off the back of the run. Saints had success with that last year. But if you watch how the 49ers played, they played that really well. But some of the best players, and we documented this on the last stream, and we talked about Clint is the key. The reality is, man, if you look at what he did with Kyle Shanahan last year, and I showed the statistics on screen y'all can feel free to look at the last show, really went into it. And we talked about they had some really mega stats happening for the 49ers offense. I mean, Brock Purdy threw full 4,200 yards. Christian McCaffrey was ridiculous. He had 14 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. I don't know, 5 or 6 passing touchdowns. He was the second on the team in receptions. First, he just tore it up for him last year. And like I said, Kittles is one of the best tight ends in the game. He had an off year last year, and they still did what they did. So I just whipped my mind around, because if you're trying to operate a scheme, you have to have the talent to be able to do that. And I think these young offensive linemen, they said, well, this is early on. This is the idea. We're going to have Fuaga at left tackle, Penning at the right side. And I'm saying that's your best bet. We can't count on Ryan Ramczyk, family. Even if Ram some kind of way clears a bit, we still know that that's going to be difficult for Ram to do all that movement that they're going to be asking to do for him to be doing with that bum knee. And he still has to have major surgery to deal with the knee. Him having some minor procedure done is not going to cut it. So I'm not really counting on Ram. But I think that with Clint Kubiak's bringing in that zone running and all this kind of stuff, that really will help these young offensive linemen. It really would, because there's not a bigger confidence booster for you to take these big athletic guys like Fuaga and Penning, who both have mean dispositions, And they talked about that in the OTAs. That's what who was that upset? Michael Hodges, the linebackers coach, was upset at Penning because he was up to his regular bag of tricks, pushing people after the whistle and stuff like that. And I want to see that. I want to see the feistiness because the Saints offensive line last year was too damn milquetoast. We said that too. These guys don't have enough aggression, enough, upsetness. You have to have an attitude to run the ball because it requires an attitude, a certain disposition of domination. You can't be, as happy to go lucky as the Saints offensive line. They didn't have enough passion. I seen McCoy, the most passion I seen McCoy last year is when he was trying to get the Dereck Carr, when Carr told him something and Hurst had to get between them. That's the most man. We need an attitude shift there. And I think John Benton's system will definitely help out.
Second round. What did you like about him? What do you think?
Listen, I thought probably one of the smarter, more instinctive players that I've seen in a while. And so I really like the fact that he had some inside outside flexibility in terms of the corner position. I loved his intelligence and his instincts. And I think, look, you have to be smart to play in a Nick Saban defense. And I thought he, did that extremely well.
And lastly, in terms of your draft, fifth round, you kind of hung out third and fourth rounds best you could through the draft. And then we were all wondering, sitting up there on the NFL Network draft set, where would Spencer Rattler wind up? And it wound up him going to your team. What is your plan for the kid at quarterback?
Look, I think the plan is that he comes in and really basically competes, and we'll let the cards kind of play out as they do. I think we were excited about the fact that we got into the fifth round and he was still there. I think, from where we had him graded on our board, we felt like this player was probably more of a second or third round talent, and the fact that he was still sitting there in the fifth round, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact there were 6 quarterbacks already taken in this draft, and that's a little bit of a unique position in terms of the draft. So the fact that he fell all the way to us to the fifth round, we were really excited about that. He's got tremendous talent, and now it's just about getting him in here, teaching him the things that we want him to know and be able to execute the things that we want him to be able to execute.
Few minutes.
There's a lot of discussion. The Kool-Aid McKinstry thing I thought it was a very solid pick for the Saints. I knew eventually within the second, maybe in the second pick that a defensive back was a part of the plan because you got Marshawn Lattimore there. It was some uncertainty whether or not the Saints would trade him at the time. That was the environment. Now they're saying that Dennis Allen is saying that he had good talk with him, a conversation, and that he will be here in 2024. But of course, like I said, I'm still taking like a wait and see approach to see exactly what happens because the time frame between when they can actually trade him would be June 1st to the start of the season. So between that time frame, I'm gonna still keep an eye out just in case, something might happen. But Laddie Dad is there. You have Paulson Adebo, who will be coming up soon with a new contract. And of course, we have a Saints team that is going to be conservative. They were conservative this year. They're going to be conservative next year and probably conservative after that because of some of the moves the Saints made. It wasn't all of the C-19 stuff like Mickey said. It was a lot of contracts they simply couldn't afford, that they was basically mortgaging the future for the present. And it didn't pay in dividends. It didn't hit like they wanted it to hit. So now they got to redraw and kind of be more responsible is the correct term with how they delve out resources and money. They're going to try to play the draft game. But I thought the Kool-Aid McKinstry selection was a very good selection because eventually you're going to need that. And of course, with Alontae Taylor, people were talking about Alontae Taylor's play. Alontae and I telling family members, hey, Alontae Taylor was in his sophomore year. They were saying the same thing about Paulson Adebo when he was in his sophomore year. We might need to get rid of him, Q. He stink. Like, man, he's in his sophomore year. They struggle. It's something about that year from between the first and the third year. That second year they struggle. Life in the NFL and play, all that seems to get a little difficult there. And if you go through the burn, and you make your way, you find the answers, you come out looking, smelling like a rose, like Paulson Adebo did for the Saints last year. I anticipate Alontae Taylor to have a same transition. But I remember Alontae Taylor can play the safety position if they needed him. That was the idea when they brought him in here, when they had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in here at the same time. Chauncey was a little nervous about it because he's seen the writing on the wall, but the Saints had the ability to be able to shift him to safety if they needed to. So that's the idea of getting versatile players that you can fit them where you needed to. But I thought it was good selection. The Spencer Rattler thing, I wanted a quarterback at that pick, but, to be honest with you, I wanted Jordan Travis. That's the guy I was looking for. Philly got him. So no, I'm sorry. It wasn't Philly. Was it the Jets? I think the Jets got, wasn't it the Jets? Hold on for a second. Let me verify that. Because I know it was a green team. I want to say it was the Jets. Got him. Where he ended up. Jets. That's right. He ended up with the Jets. But that's who I was looking. I was like, man, we got to land this kid. This kid's going to be a player. The Jets end up getting him. So, but I'm not mad at Spencer Rattler. I think Spencer Rattler is a dude that has a lot of talent. There's a lot of spotlight on Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener because a lot of people are down on Derek Carr. That's like, man, why is it so much talk about Spencer Rattler? We know the QB position is a highlighted position, but goddamn, the best he can do is battle for a backup spot against Jake Haener. And what's the other guy? Nate Peterman, who's the veteran backup. But a lot of people, the reason why the backup talk is so glaring is because, a lot of people are down on Derek Carr. And we'll talk about that later on in the stream as we move forward on it. But like I said, I'm not a Carr basher. I think that a lot of times people are like, I don't know why people are so hard on Derek Carr. You're not watching the games. You're not watching the games fully. Don't pay attention to just the statistics. You got to watch the entire game and the flow of the game, how things happen, the connections between players, all of the bitching and complaining and the blaming, the slow ability to take accountability for what was going on, not totally owning your mistakes like you're supposed to, staring people down. Like he even talked about the pick that Jesse Bates got off of him when he looked, and I'm like, dude, no. And that's why I said I was like, dude, nah, that's a major flaw mentally. Not one time did I hear, man, you know what, man, I got to stop staring people down. That's a big problem. That's why the receivers were pissed with me, not to mention I was just, I was in pain. I had broken ribs and I was just throwing the ball. I was shot up on painkillers. He made mention that he had a shot. I'm going to play the video in a little bit after I'm done with Dennis Allen. But it's just, that's one of the things I'm giving people who I don't know why they feel it. At least me personally, I'm not a Carr basher. I think Derek Carr is what he is. But there are people that's like, no, you can do way better. And he just hit a sour note and he kind of hit the Who Dat Nation a little differently because us down here, a lot of people outside the building see Derek Carr. Like the Raider people see Derek Carr as one of the best quarterbacks they ever had because he took down a lot of the passer records. Man, you come here, we got Drew Brees here, man. So you come on. We know what a real quarterback look like, man. So he got big shoes to fill, especially when he picks up the fat contract. But if you really want to learn something from Drew Brees, really seriously, not just talking to him, but really picking his mind, Derek Carr, and I know he's not going to figure this out. That's why coaches who have another set of eyes like Andrew Janoku and Clint Kubiak, they're going to study that film. And they're going to see that's why they're on him every play like what he is. They're on him because they recognize flaws in his game. So, no, we just want to speed you up. No. It's like, yeah, he felt like he threw the ball right. And then he was like, nah, that's okay. But throw it, be faster with it. What they telling them. And that's because, man, listen. And he says, yeah, I like that. Do you really? I mean, because, bro, if you studying all this film, I don't understand how you don't know you staring people down. I just don't get that shit. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't understand it. The all 22 shows you just keeping your head over here, looking over here, and the guy running over there wide open or single covered, no safety support, and you just stand down over here, looking over here. That happened all the time. I just don't get how he can't see that. And I just don't get it. Not one time did he ever say, man, I got to stop staring people down. That's how Jesse Bates got me. I was staring down that wide receiver. I didn't pump fake. I didn't do shit. I just stared the wide receiver down just like that. And then some kind of way, Jesse Bates jumped in front of the ball. Jesse Bates is not a superhero. Jesse Bates read your eyes to the ball. I just don't get it. Thank goodness we got some coaches that kind of break this thing open, man. Here we go, man.
Just left with Saints head coach Dennis Allen here on the Rich Eisen Show. My crew, if you wouldn't mind popping up the schedule on the screen. When you saw this for the first time, you thought what, Coach? What'd you think?
Well, look, I thought, the beginning part of the season was going to be a tough stretch. Opening up with a division opponent at home and then having to go, on the road to Dallas. We got Kansas City on a Monday night. We come back and play Tampa Bay, then Thursday night versus Denver. I thought that was, that early part of the season was going to be a really tough stretch. And then I looked at, the end of the season. There's a couple of potential cold weather games that we got to be, ready to play in, at New York and at Green Bay late in the season.
Do you like the bye, week 12?
Well, look, I don't really get a choice in it, so it doesn't really matter whether I like it or not.
No. You get preferences. You're a human.
That's DA's new favorite thing he like to say. They're not going to ask me. That's his new little thing he said, because he ain't used to say that before. Now he's saying, well, they ain't asked me they don't ask me if I'm going to like it or not. He said that several times about several different things throughout the interviews this past season, but that's something new. He likes to say, well, they didn't consult with me anyway, so I don't think it matters. Just answer the question, bro. I think the bye is a good part of the schedule, to be honest.
Human being, I mean, you have rights.
Yeah, in a perfect world scenario, you'd love for that to be right around, week 8. And yet it really kind of depends on how the season plays out. Sometimes if you're on a roll, you don't really want that bye, or sometimes you have some injuries and you may need the bye a little bit earlier. So, I think much better than having it in week, 15 or 16.
Well, you knew the Sean Payton appearance in the Superdome would be in front of a nationally televised audience. I mean, you couldn't have been surprised about that one, right?
No, I wasn't shocked. I knew it was going to be a primetime game. I just didn't know which primetime game it was going to be, whether it was going to be a Thursday night game or whether it was going to be a Monday or Sunday night game. I knew it was going to be primetime. Guess I'm kind of excited about it being a Thursday night game. That's a lot less hoopla on a shorter week, I guess.
Nah, it's going to be a lot of hoopla, bro. It's a Thursday night game. It's the only game playing. It's going to be a big shindig with the entire NFL world watching that game, man. So, yeah, in the schedule, man, it's very interesting early, and I know, you just got to take it like, they're going to tell you at one game by game approach, and I agree about that. I think that's a good thing to do. But listen, Carolina at home, away to Dallas, back home against Philly, both games, the Atlanta game and the Monday night matchup against KC are away games. They come home for 2 straight against Tampa and Denver, and then they hit the road for 2 against the Chargers and the Cardinals. I mean, the Panthers. Now, early on the first 5 weeks, people are looking at, because that's an interesting stretch with Dallas, Philly, Atlanta, and KC there. No disrespect to Carolina. And then Tampa, on the short week for the Monday matchup is something to kind of look at as well, because we split with Tampa. Didn't we split with Tampa? Yeah, I think we split with Tampa Bay last year. And I think this time around, we can't discount them either, man. So the Saints got to bring it, man. We a lot of people anticipating the Saints to start slow, But if we can run the ball and play defense, that's a big part of it. You know, running the ball, playing some defense, man, that should help us out, especially when you go on the road against some of these teams, because you're going to need your running attack in the play action, definitely. You know, and that Philly game, the Dallas, Philly, Atlanta, and KC, those 4 games are very interesting. So we don't want to go in the hole to start out the season. So, man, it's going to be fun watching, man.
And so, we'll kind of get in and go get the game played.
You know what do you think it's going to be like that night in the Superdome, Coach?
Oh, I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, as it usually is for a Thursday night game. And look, I mean, obviously with Sean, bringing the Denver Broncos in here, his first time back in the Superdome against the Saints. I mean, certainly there's going to be an electric atmosphere, and a lot of eyes will be on that game.
All right, last one for you, and if you don't mind me putting guardrails on this question, you can't give me the coach's answer that you just gave me a minute ago of like you have no say in it, and it is what it is. You can't give me the it is what it is on this one, okay?
I can, but
no.
I won't.
I am telling an NFL coach what he can and cannot do. I understand that's a third rail subject matter. Listen, the news that apparently the Players Association is coming up with an idea to reconfigure the offseason and potentially put OTAs in a ramp-up period in June to have July being filled with practices. Do you like that idea, Coach?
Well, I think that's a twofold question there, Rich.
Okay.
I think what we're able to do during this time of year, I think is really good teaching environment. I think it's a great teaching environment. What I don't really like about where we're at in terms of the calendar, I don't really love that there's a 5-week. We put in all this work, and then there's a 5-week period where, we don't get an opportunity to spend any time with our players. And so I guess I'd probably rather see it somewhere in between, where we have some time, during the quote unquote off season time, where we get a chance to work with a lot of these young players that need the work. And then maybe shorten up that break in between and have a little bit more time to kind of ramp up for training camp. But that would be kind of, the way I would see it. I know this. I know there's a ton of work that has to be done to get ready for training camp, and a ton of work that has to get done in preparation for the season. And so I know you got to find time to do that work. There's no shortcuts to success in this game that we play. And so, certainly we've got to find the time. If we decide to change something, we've got to find the time to get the work in. So
the 5-week period you're referring to be clear, is the one that's upcoming mid-June all the way to the beginning of training camp when rookies report in July. Is that the 5-week period you're referring to?
Typically there's about 5 weeks there that, is kind of a dead period where, the players, not necessarily the rookies, you got a couple extra weeks. You can keep the rookies an extra week. You can bring them back a week earlier. So there's kind of a 3-week window where they're on their own. There's really basically a 5-week window from the end of OTAs or minicamp.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog.
Look, I think, if we were able to shorten that in some form or fashion without losing, the off season, I think would be something I'd be in favor of.
Okay.
Damn, DA. Bro, DA was looking at the floor. DA, how do you maintain your players' attention, brother? That was, yeah. Rich Eisen was like, okay, to be clear, because I was totally not clear on what he was saying. You either like it or you don't, brother. I mean, it's either one or the other. I understand what the players want. The players want to have more time with their family. So they're asking or proposing the NFL to take those OTAs and group them with training camp. And they'll have a faster, what they call ramp up period along with that. So that you kind of put them all together there. And that's what they're trying to do. Well, the NFL likes it the way it is because, like I said, the other show, they have it sparsed out in the off season to keep attention or to keep people looking at what's going on with their teams. They don't like to have too many dead gap periods. You see what I'm saying? They want to keep interest there because that's one of the biggest things. When the season is on and games are active and football is being played, you have no problem gathering people. But when the big thing is keeping attention during the off season when games are not being played. So they've kind of actuaried this thing out and they have it set up the way they want to. But will they go along with it? I mean, they could, but what are you going to give up? You being the Players Association are going to get up for them to approve that, because that has to be something that the players and the league say, okay, we'll go from there. And they both agree upon it. But it is, one thing for another. Okay, if we give you this, what are you going to give us? And we'll see what they do. I mean, we'll see how it's all handled. But me personally, I kind of like it is right now, but I'm not a player. See, the players like, man, well, we want to spend that extra time, this, that, and third. There, a guy like Elvin Kamara or Marshawn Lattimore, some of the big name Saints people, they can be like, man, I don't I'm just gonna chill with the peeps. You see what I'm saying? I know DeMario made mention about it. I know DeMario's there because he's trying to kind of do his thing and trying to raise up the morale of the team. I get that, but it's still at the end of the day, it's still voluntary. So if you want them to be there, then make it mandatory. So it is what it is. I think the players absolutely, I can see both sides of the coin, to be honest with you. All right. So anyway, let's finish up with this and go ahead.
Last request of you, crystal balling, which again, I know is another thing.
That's right, Tuck. That's the trade-off. And I think I made mention of this too. I was like, man, the trade-off, the league wants another game. Is this would be the bargaining chip for that? We could see. We'll see. All right. Shout out to the fam. Quincy, good to see you out in the chat. How you doing, Quincy, man? Long time no see. Shout out to you. Who else we got? Black Major, brother Doug Davis. How you doing, bro? Good to see you. GM Kev's in the thing as well. Big ups to the fam. Brother Mont Dog, good to see you, fam. Rebel Raider. All right. Good to see you as well. It's Poppy 504. Big ups to you, fam. Good to see you in this thing. Nolans 504 as well. Big ups to you, Bronze. Good shout out to Bronze in this thing. Queen Carla's in this thing as well. Queen Barber, shout out to you. My dog Big Lowe's in the building. Shout out to a future Who That Nation member, my dog Big Low Country. All right. All right. What's up, brother Zach? How you doing, man? I see you, fam. Appreciate you for stopping by as well. Big ups to the fam, man. Brother Rowe, I see you, fam. Much love. Y'all hit the like button if y'all hadn't hit it. All right. What's up, T-Rob? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you for stopping by as well. I don't want to miss anybody out. All right. So here we go, man. Here we go.
I'm treading lightly, asking an NFL coach to crystal ball it. The December 29th home date with the Las Vegas Raiders. How's your quarterback going to feel about that one, would you say? And you as well, I might add.
Look, I would imagine he's going to feel good about that. He's going to feel excited about that. My expectation is, that at some point during that time frame, we're trying to get ourselves ready to make a playoff run. And so I think that's got a chance to be a big game in terms of trying to set ourselves up for the best position that we can.
So there's no time for revenge, even for you? None of that?
Yes.
Well, look, I can't. I'd be lying if I said that those games don't mean just a little bit more. But really, what you got to focus on during those times is focus on all the things that you have to do to try to win a game, regardless of who the opponent is. You start worrying too much about who the opponent is, you kind of get out of your wheelhouse a little bit in terms of being able to be successful.
So no special cigar set aside just in case, is what you're saying.
I don't think we need that. I'm not a big cigar smoker anyway.
Okay. Good answer.
The man was trying to give him a setup, but he wouldn't take it. But the thing is, of course, Dennis Allen wants to beat Sean Payton. Of course he does. You know, Sean Payton, that's a very unique situation, to be honest with you. Sean Payton did a lot of great things for the Black and Gold City. He comes back as a coach with the Denver Broncos. He's coming to the Superdome, a place that him and Drew Brees did a lot of great things. And Dennis Allen's sitting there. So that would be a good feather in his hat if he beats Sean Payton. If he beats Sean Payton, that's a good feather in his hat. It really is. And it's not like his defenses in practices wasn't stumping Sean Payton's offense. Remember that. So that's something Dennis Allen could have there. He's very knowledgeable about Sean Payton's defenses. His offenses. He knows how to stop Sean Payton's offense, and he has the people to do it too. So that's one big thing. But can Sean Payton stop what Clint Kubiak got going on? You know, you see what I'm saying? So, I mean, all I know is it used to be really good games when you watch Sean Payton and Kyle Shanahan go at each other. Those were really good games. You know, Sean got them. He's familiar with some of that stuff too. But it'll be fun watching that matchup, and that should be a feather in Dennis Allen's hat. At least he could say, I beat Sean Payton head to head. And in terms of Derek Carr, you got to circle that if you're Derek Carr. I know he says that, you know, he got a lot of people he cool with from the Raiders organization. He's up next with his interview. But if you're a guy that came from that organization, you got to be like, man, I got that one circled. We're going to kick some tail on that one. All right, Doe. Shout out to Doe. Good to see you, fam. Appreciate you as well. Much love. All right. So, yeah, my dog says Dennis Allen is actually being smart, deflecting that because he might not even be the coach. Things could change. Huh? All right. That's pretty swift for you there. All right. So let's jump from that. That's the end of the Dennis Allen thing. I think Dennis Allen did all right, besides that long word salad he gave about the OTAs and stuff like that, you know, but outside of that, it wasn't too bad. All right, here go Derek Carr on Chris Long's show. Here we go.
And what a great interview. I mean, I don't think I did a great job, but Derek, love him. That's why his teammates like him. Like, spend 30 minutes with the guy. You're like, yeah, I'd play with that guy. Okay, I got a question. First off, like, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend if you like this interview. But was week 17 in Philly. Remember how cold it was?
I remember how cold that was. Yes.
Yeah.
Move it
Lock down that next head bob. We're going.
You're gone 100%.
Yeah. Do you like, what's the gamesmanship like trying to get somebody to hard count? Do you admire something like when you watch Aaron Rodgers and you're like, that's the Michael Jordan of hard counts?
I love that stuff. I think that, you know, every system emphasizes different things that I've been in. I've been in a lot of systems, and two teams, but a lot of systems. And you learn what different people emphasize. And so, you know, when you watch a team that emphasizes using the snap count as a weapon and things like that, Aaron, how many free plays he's gotten, just based on him doing that, like, you know, he's always been so good to me. So learning from him and asking questions and all that, like, you know, stealing that. I stole a few touchdowns off free plays, you know, just based on learning from the guys ahead of you. And so now I'm trying to teach that to these young guys and how to do it, you know, what to do with your hands, your eyes, you know, different things that make it look the exact same so that they think it's the snap. And even one of my favorite throws of my life was in a Pro Bowl on a hard count, you know. But
you hard counted somebody in the Pro Bowl? What the heck are you doing out there, dude?
Isn't that jacked up? I did it.
Yeah,
I did it just so I could throw a touchdown.
Messed up, dude. That's like breaking the bro code, I think, if there's a Pro Bowl bro code. But what do you do, like, say you don't have a vertical route in the concept when you get somebody to jump? How does that go for the offense? Do you kind of know where your hot is and maybe just take the hot, or do you just look up top? Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of times, like, if there is something down the field, even if it's double covered, like, that's the one I'm just going to throw that one up, especially if you guys are right in my face. I'm just going to throw it up, save the hit, all those things.
One more time.
There is something down the field, even if it's double.
Have a vertical route in the concept when you get somebody to jump. How does that go for the offense? Do you kind of know where your hot is and maybe just take the hot, or do you just
Yeah.
look up top?
Yeah, there's a lot of times like if there is something down the field, even if it's double covered, like that's the one I'm just gonna throw that one up. If especially if you guys are right in my face, I'm just gonna throw it up, save the hit, all those things. There.
What? Am I hearing that right? If it's double covered and a hit's coming to him, he's just gonna throw it up in the double coverage. Is that what he said? You throw it in the double coverage?
There's times too where I love to do it in a 2-minute drill. You're down in the red zone, the set first half, the clock's running down. Man, you get them on a hard count, and then if the touchdown's there, if not, just throw it away. Because I actually had one where a guy jumped. We're playing Kansas City at home, and I peeked, and they didn't throw the flag, and so thankfully I didn't just throw it up. But there's times like that where the refs, when it was first happening, they kind of miss them sometimes.
Yeah, the 2-minute thing is legit. I mean,
You saying he referenced a free play, Twigger? All right, bro. I'm gonna take your word for it, bro. I didn't catch that part of the game, but because I would sincerely hope so. If it's a free play, that I agree about it. If it's a free play, and if the guy's double covered and he chunk it, but I didn't catch that for whatever reason. Let me kind of go back to
in the
that.
Pro Bowl, what the heck are you doing out there, dude?
Isn't that jacked up? I did it.
Yeah,
I did it just so I could
that's
throw
really
a
messed
touchdown.
up, dude. That's like breaking the bro code. I think if there's a Pro Bowl bro code, But what do you do? Like, say you don't have a vertical route in the concept when you get somebody to jump. How does that go for the offense? Do you kind of know where your hot is and maybe just take the hot, or do you just look up top?
Yeah, there's a lot of times like if there is something down the field, even if it's double covered, like that's the one I'm just gonna throw that one up. Especially if you guys are right in my face, I'm just gonna throw it up, save the hit, all those things. There's times too where I love to do it in a 2-minute drill. You're down in the red zone, the set first half, the clock's running down. Man, you get them on a hard count, and then if the touchdown's there, if not, just throw it away. Because I actually had one where a guy jumped. We're playing Kansas City at home, and I peeked, and they didn't throw the flag, and so thankfully I didn't just throw it up. But there's times like that where the refs, when it was first happening, they kind of miss them sometimes.
Yeah, the 2-minute thing is legit. I mean, you're going to get me 10 out of 10 times in 2 minutes.
Yep.
But it's an extra 3 seconds that might be worth it.
That's right.
In those situations. So, how you like in New Orleans, the area, like being on a new team? I feel like you were going to be Mr. Raider, and I think everybody starts out, and you played there so long and were such a fixture. I remember when I left St. Louis, I wanted to be a Ram for life. And the Raiders are a great organization. Was it tough for you to like now imagine yourself in a different uniform, and what's that experience been like?
It was really hard, because I mean, just, with the relationship I have with, Mark and, the team, the organization, I thought I was going to be there just forever,
Yeah.
And it didn't work out that way, obviously. But when I went to put a new jersey on, I was like, my pants aren't silver anymore. I was like, it looked weird. It didn't feel right. But at the same time, like the heart of it, the decision, the team, the organization, all that felt right, but it just looked funny,
Yeah.
And so it took me a little longer than I thought to get acclimated, if I'm honest, and learning everybody's name, in the building. I had relationships with everyone from the owner to the janitor in the Raiders building,
Right.
And,
Yeah.
You come into a new building, I'm like learning everyone's name and where do I go for stretch? When do we do this? Who sits here? Like I don't want to take Cam Jordan's seat day one,
Definitely not him, right?
I'm trying to start off.
Or
right.
Demario Davis, dude. I feel like Demario Davis might be the worst guy to take his seat. That guy's kind of scary, he's kind of badass.
Absolutely. And so all of those things, it's just new, and it took me a while, if I'm honest, but now like I just feel at home. Like like it feels like my team feels like, I'm there with the leaders that we have and we're leading together, and it doesn't feel like I'm trying to catch up. It feels like we're here together and we're pulling everybody, there with us. And so that part of it feels way more at home this year for sure.
How long does it take to get that feeling? Because last year was a work in progress in a lot of ways, but also your shoulder, right? Like, I think when people say when you return to play, they think, oh, he's healthy. how long did that particular injury linger, and how difficult did that make it?
Yeah, I mean, I did. So I ended up breaking 2 ribs, and then had obviously something with my shoulder, and I didn't feel good until probably 2 weeks before we came back in April. And so,
I thought he broke 3 ribs. I thought it was 3.
like, I was getting the shot to be able to throw. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to throw. And there was a lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I did. So I ended up breaking 2 ribs, and then had obviously something with my shoulder, and I didn't feel good until probably 2 weeks before we came back in April. And so, like, I was getting the shot to be able to throw. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to throw. And there was a lot of stuff, and man, no excuses. Like, you got to go perform, you got to go try and win, and all that. And I just came, just like you did. I was raised different. Like, if it works, like, I'm gonna be out there. Even if it's not putting my best foot forward. You hear about some people getting a groin or a hammy nowadays, and it's like, hey, it's 2 weeks, and really it takes them 4. Like, to me, like, I was like, if I can be out there for my guys, no matter what, even if I'm not at my best, I still feel like I can help us win. And I'm just gonna be out there, no matter what it puts out on the tape. And so, I guess I'm like right on that cusp of the older generation of how, like, we dealt with things. And so it's a really fine dynamic of, watching that happen. But I wouldn't have traded it for anything, because now my guys know that no matter what I'm dealing with, I mean, I got teammates walking by and I'm getting shots here. And, that stuff right there just shows them that I'll do anything for them. And, it sucks to go through, but it also shows my team, like, man, we're like, dude, this guy, he'll do anything to help us win. And, it builds that relationship.
I just disagree so much so, not what Derek Carr is saying, man, because he was, and we was saying this all season long about Derek Carr. He was popped up on painkillers. They had that numbing, they was shooting him up with that painkiller, and you could tell because his eyes was bucking and bulging. I doubt he even knew what planet he was on most of the game. You could see his eyes were just lit up, and he was just, that was just so wrong to do him that. There was no need to do that to Derek Carr. If he got a tore shoulder. At the time, he said 3 broken ribs. The previous reports and him on several different interviews that we've covered here said 3 broken ribs. This show he says 2, whatever. But I just disagree with all of what the Saints was doing. They were pumping him with painkillers just so that he can go out there, and we didn't even get in the playoffs. So, I mean, they just abused him, and that just pissed me off. It pissed me off then when I heard about it, when it was going on. It pissed me off at the end of the season, and then they have the nerve to stand up here and talk about player safety. What kind of crap is this? That's why we have backup quarterbacks to come in and do. And we had a vet behind Dereck Carr. You didn't have to do that to him. Then he said he couldn't, and he said this before at the back of the season, like he couldn't do nothing for like 2 months. He couldn't do anything. No activities at all. That's how bad a shape that he was, according to what he was saying. I just think it's an absolute, all this much to do about player safety and all this nonsense, and then they just shooting the guy up with dope, shooting him up with painkiller to go out there and it's just, I just disagree with that, man. That's why we got guys. The guy got broken ribs and he busted all the hell. Please don't put that guy out there. That's why we got depth charts. I just didn't like how they did him on that. All right, OG to the 3rd degree says, how many times will you say, no, we don't know. Do you? Thank you for the super chat, bro. That's just how Carr talks, man. He just is that is like Dennis Allen says, well, look, so Derek Carr says, Dennis Allen says, what he says, well, look. That's just how, that's just one of the things that they do. And I think with Dennis Allen and like even Mickey Loomis does the wind up, I call it, where he does that. And that buys him a little time to kind of formulate his thoughts for whatever the question is or the topic that they're talking about. I think that's a mechanism that Carr used and Dennis Allen used as well. Thank you, OG to the 3rd degree.
You're known to have, big arm, be able to make the throws, but when you're banged up, how nice is it to be in a system or with a group of guys rather more than anything, because I just think when the quick game's going for you guys with Alvin out of the backfield and the speed you have outside, how nice is it to have, that kind of option, a style of play?
Yeah, it was awesome, and the way, I got to learn so much just by watching Drew in the film, run the offense and the decisions he's making to AK and this kind of thing, and so it really helped me last year.
That's pretty interesting, Carla. Carla says, show the team you ain't want to lose your job. Is that how it is? Your quarterback gets hurt and he can't get his job back? That happened with Jameis. And you know what? I'm laughing, but it's a sad state of affairs because actually, I don't think Carr is a bad guy. I think Carr has his own reality that he lives in. And sometimes it takes people to have to show him what time it is. I don't think he's a bad dude. I don't think he's a bad dude, but I think his game needs some work, like a lot of players. But, what they did with Derek Carr, and you're absolutely right. I think Doug said it, that they played. Was it Doug? I want to give the right credit. Yeah, Doug says, man, Q, they played Drew hurt too. And I just think it's like today's NFL is all this stuff about safety and all this kind of stuff. And he was saying he was getting shot. He even pointed to where his shot. He was like, he was in there. And he got shot here. He got one here. He was getting shots all over. So he said, I wouldn't have been able to throw the ball if I didn't have the pain shot. That's terrible, family. That is awful. He would not have been able to throw the football or play football without the pain. Multiple pain shots. He getting shot up every week. And this was like for the entire season after he got planted in the Green Bay game. I think that's when he got knocked out of there. And we knew something was up because when they took him out of there, they evaluated him in the medical tent. Then they put him on the cart, then took him to the locker room, said they did some little stuff there. And then he went to the hospital. I was like, he went to the hospital? What's going on? And then the report came out that they were x-raying his chest area. And I was like, man, something ain't right about this. And then as the season went on, they hid that. Remember, don't forget this stuff. They hid all of that. They hid the fact that and we looked at him, man, this dude got he got busted up ribs, something going on. We were saying it before the Saints made it official 2 weeks before the season ended. And they did that so they can roll out the excuse matrix. So they can come with the excuses to explain why, the team failed because of injuries to the quarterbacks. But prior to that, they did not release that information about him being hurt or even acknowledge that until a couple of weeks before the end of the season to kick into the excuse matrix. But Neo and Morpheus ain't Des on and Mickey and Dennis Allen. And the excuse matrix is to keep people buying the tickets, because of the excuses that you're not supposed to be making. But here we go.
Especially
interesting take,
when I was banged up, that man, I know that I have that guy in AK that I can get that ball to just out leverage, and instead of a 2-yard gain, it's really 9 yards with AK, and that kind of stuff really helped. And with Chris and Rashid in the quick game, obviously that stuff helped us a lot, because we had to call more of that stuff based on some of the health that I was dealing with.
How important is it to have a differentiating body type, like a big target that you can throw to, or a Juwan or something, like a tight end, but a guy who can actually create in space and has the size?
Yeah, with like guys like AT and Juwan, they allow me to make throws that you typically can't make with a smaller guy, right? Like, if a guy is on his shoulder, well, I can throw it, way back here on a back shoulder ball, and I know that they're going to go get it, and AT was that jump ball, back shoulder, big body guy. Juwan also down the field, down the middle, making those plays that you love to throw as a quarterback that you can't throw to everyone based on what they were given at birth, and those are guys that down the stretch for me, I've always loved having a guy like that. You have your starters, and you have your guys that have roles, and they fit that role and just my style of play to be able to have that one-on-one guy that I can make that throw to. And they came down with most of them, so you trust them. That trust builds for sure.
Yeah. The thing behind you, the calendar. Okay, yeah. This is a relevant question right now because the PA is talking about changing the schedule on us, which is wild. Because, all right, I don't know how you feel about it, but we were talking about like being routine oriented as football players.
Hold on just a second. Spice, interesting, bro. Y'all, yeah, the great Saint Think Tank, man. That's why I say you guys the best. The great Saint Think Tank always rolling around these things. Carla was kicking it and said he was playing hurt like that because, like we saying, Jay, this is not something we making up. If we just remember everything that happens, we don't forget the stuff. Because if you remember the things that happen, it creates a pattern, and then you can basically predict what's going on with the team. That's how I do it. I remember majority of all this stuff. That's how I know to create patterns with players and coaches to know exactly how the majority of the time they're going to behave or react. That's how I'm able to call a lot of stuff with the Saints accurately because I know the personality of these people. Now, if you look at what Spice says, how about the Saints felt that a hurt Carr was better than a healthy Winston? That's why he's no longer on the team. How about that? I would coincide. I would definitely co-sign that. Anytime you go into great lengths to pump, Derek Carr. Now listen, I'm not going. I think Derek Carr was doing what most football players are trained to do. I often talked about the program and the brainwashing is actually what it is. The brainwashing of players to play with broken bones and all this kind of stuff. The truth of the matter is, people get hurt. It's a physical sport, but that's what depth charts are for. That's when you have a backup quarterback and a backup running back, wide receiver, whatever. You have those guys in place. You hope that your stars don't get hurt, but if they do, you do your best by, best that you can in your scouting and your cap management to find people that can bridge the gap until the player can come back from injury. If sometimes they might not come back from injury until next year, you just have to maybe make a trade or do something to kind of bring, fill that talent void, that vacuum. So to me, if I'm the coach of the team, and it's not like it's a pressurized situation because they're not last year they wasn't acting in any pressure because Mickey Loomis wasn't putting any pressure on Dennis Allen. He really wasn't. He left Dennis Allen alone to the point where he was taking the arrows from people. He was making excuses for him. Are you going to talk to him to tell him you need to do that? He wasn't putting any pressure on him. So we put the pressure on him, and you could see that it had a noticeable effect. Real bad. At the end of the season, eyes ball wasn't just the end of the season. That was a culmination of the entire season of pressure being aimed at Mickey Loomis because he ain't felt pressure like that. I don't think ever. He didn't feel pressure like that, man, because we were putting all of that right at him. You need to go and check your coach. But like I said, man, I just think that they didn't have to shoot Derek Carr up with the man he said 3 broken ribs at the time. He got a toe up shoulder and whatever else happened to him. They don't tell you everything, but he was all tore to hell according to him. And he looked, but I knew something was wrong. That's all I was saying. Doing people were saying, "No, Q, he ain't really hurt." I disagree, man. You can see the guy trying to play, and his eyes was bucking. You could see he was out there. His ball was sailing because his accuracy wasn't there because parts of his body is numb. He can't. That was awful. But yeah, I have to agree with you on that about the Jameis thing, man, because I mean, I don't think we had a great drop off if you'd have had a healthy Jameis Winston playing until Derek Carr would have made it back. We didn't have to do that to that man. That was wrong, in my opinion. Farouk, shout out to you, brother. Good to see you. Yeah, Doug says he got knocked out of the game and was back the next. Yeah, because I was saying to myself, man, he shouldn't. I was like, man, there's no way that kid plays. There's no way he plays. He just got planted. That dude took him and planted him in the ground like a tree. I was like, there's no way he comes back. He was back the next damn week. And I'm like, come on, man. But they sit up there with their arms folded and let it happen. So I mean, I don't think you should treat the players like that, man. That's effed up and wrong. Spice says Carr got that Kobe mentality. That's why he wore the sleeve in the honor of Kobe played. Yeah, playing hurt and stuff like that. I commend him, but at the same time, we don't want the man to put that's just, I just didn't like how that was handled. We didn't need to go that route. We really did.
Like, where do we stretch? We're the same way with our schedule. It's this time of the year. This is what I do. This is when we get together. for offensive players, especially, and for quarterback, like installations, the whole thing. First off, how did you feel when you heard they might change the schedule earlier training camp, maybe sometime in June, maybe early in July, doing away with the voluntary stuff? And then second, how would that affect how you do your job?
Yeah, I think my answer I don't know how everyone else feels about it. I really haven't kept up, but it may be unpopular, but I think the skill that it takes to play all of our positions would go down because you have less time on task. I don't know. Like as a quarterback, your timing, your rhythm, your accuracy, all of that in April isn't at its best, but you use these practices and these OTAs to get there. And then you get a little bit of a break, which I've always found nice for my family, to have that time where I'm still working, I'm still throwing, but I still have time to go take my kids to hit balls. I still can take them golfing. I can still do those things before it really ramps up. And I mean, the NFL season's already long and you're going to start it a month earlier. To me, I mean, I think for young guys too, that would be hard. There's so much that the young players have to learn, in my opinion. Again, it's all my opinion, but so much that they have to learn where I think OTAs are beneficial. Again, now that's coming from a guy who's been doing this 11 years, and I may have an older school of thinking. But just the skill it takes and the time on task, especially as coaches, I mean, they're going to be stressed out of their mind getting guys ready to play, so, I don't know. I think it, I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, the job that we have is pretty unbelievable, even with how the schedule is now. And so I enjoy being here with my teammates. There's a lot of guys you and I have probably both played with, where you're like, we're really going to give that guy until the beginning of July off,
Right. You're just not going to see that guy. Like nobody's going to check in. Like he doesn't have to come in the building. I'm with you. I think the popular take from players is going to be, it could be pretty disruptive. And like, listen, there are varying degrees of needing OTAs. Like the guys in the offensive room need a lot more. The guys in coverage need a lot more. The guys in the defensive line room, we got to go through our stuff, but it's also good to get to know each other. It's good to bring the rookies along, and it's good to get together. You think about these teams that are trying to repeat. It's going to be really hard to repeat and stay good if you can't build the culture of your team through the calendar year. And for coaches, they're going to be miserable. Like I bet coaches would hate this. Like they love being out on the boat in the summer. They get that 3-week period for once they don't have to sleep in the facility. You know what I mean? I think it would be majorly disruptive.
Yes. I think just the overall excellence of our game and as you know, because we play, like there's so much fine detail and skill that is involved along with the physicality that you can't just get that with an extra 2-week training camp, like
no.
This is
I'd be okay with 10
thing.
more days of training camp. And I sound crazy and old school. I came in when it was 2 days, but there's a way to ramp up in a safe way. But you need the time because nowadays, if you play in that Hall of Fame game, dude, I don't know if you ever played in that, but it's coming like right now. Like you get in the building, you get your syllabus for the training camp, you get your calendar, and you're like, damn, shells, pads, Canton. Like that's too fast. You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%.
So I agree with them on that. But anyways, okay, let's talk about your schedule this year. Dallas and KC early on the road, man. Like I know they're all tough, but tough place to play, tough defenses. What goes into getting an offense ready to go early and communicate and be ready for the stress level of a place like Arrowhead?
Oh man, that it's now that I'm not a Raider, I can finally say it's one of my favorite places to play.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably could, but the place is amazing.
It's amazing, man. And there's always one guy for the last 11 years that yells at me. And whether we've beat them or they're beating us, we have a good relationship,
I had a guy like that in Seattle. He was right in the tunnel. He was hanging over the tunnel.
That guy is amazing.
You know the guy I'm talking about in Seattle?
100%. He's there every time. He knows everything about you. Yep. But yeah, he is the man.
Yes, I love that guy because he'll talk to you and he'll talk trash, but then at the end of the game he daps you up, and usually it was after a loss for us. But the last game we were 0 for 6. We won the 7th time, and it was my last time playing there. And I said goodbye to the guy and everything. This is so funny. You remember this guy?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. He's a good dude. I've had great conversations with him, and so
that's cool.
So yeah, Kansas City, Dallas is two places thankfully I've been able to go and win at their buildings. Kansas City, they've gotten after us a lot there, and so I've seen both sides of it, but it's the work that we just talked about, OTA. It's the work we're doing now, the communication, the little details of the assignment, the timing, all of those things that when you get into a hostile environment, that's all you got is your thoughts. And so if your thoughts are scattered and your brain isn't on the right stuff, then that's where teams go out there and you get blown out, But if you're on your details, anytime, I can go to those games where we won in those places, like our details were money, everyone's assignments are on point.
I was getting that feeling, but I can't prove that. So I was like, KD, you said it, man. I don't know, man. He said, Carr, though, damn well you don't know what Chris talking about. Yeah, I was listening to. I was like, but I can't prove he doesn't know him. So you just take his word. All right.
And that's what it takes to beat those teams in their place, because they're two amazing defenses and teams.
I feel like just watching on the sideline, being stressed out, watching an offense on the road try to do what they do. It's about like starting fast, and it's about conversions.
Yep.
Like those two things on the road to me. What else do you think are the keys when you go on the road?
I think you hit it on the head. I think if you start fast, you can kind of take the crowd out of it at the beginning, because you get up, you got to go down, get a field goal, go down, get a touchdown. It's like, oh crap, that second drive you come out, it's not buzzing as loud as if it was a third down sack to end it, and same thing, moving the chains on third down. If you can sustain a good drive, but if you can convert on third down, Yep.
They get tired of that. They get tired of that. After the fifth conversion on a drive, it's kind of quiet.
It does. And so for me, it's staying efficient on first and second down are absolutely key, because if you can get in the third and manageables, obviously the percentages are higher, you can get them like that. That's where you can get a first down and take them out of it again. And then those next two downs, as it's dead silent. And so,
Do you prefer when you get the ball to receive on the road, or do you prefer let the defense do it? Because I'm just saying this is no offense to offensive players, but I'd rather we kick. You know what I mean? That a 3 and out on the road in a hostile environment to start a game is like a death sentence.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. 100. Especially against offenses like Dallas and Kansas City. They're unbelievable teams. And so for me, I've always begged the head coach. You know how these analytics are now, but I've always like, give us the ball. And they're like,
yeah,
we're going to
defer. Say that. I respect it. Yeah. They're like, go out there and defer.
Yeah, I was like, let me go out there. I want to play, and so I'm all amped up. And I was like, honestly, I want to get the first hit out of the way. I was like, I don't want to sit here for another 15 minutes while they're on offense. Like, let's go.
Yeah,
play.
That's true. That's true too. Okay, so you got week 17. You got the Raiders.
Yeah,
at home, right in New Orleans, right?
It's in New Orleans. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So Max Crosby's coming to town.
Yep.
Is he going to call you little ass boy or medium boy, or what do you think he's got? What do you think Max has got up his sleeve?
Yeah, the talking point about the starting fast, the efficiency. I mean, I agree with that, man, and I definitely agree with in terms of you on the road and which should you get? Take the. I think if you're the Saints and you got something to prove offensively, you're on the road. Take the ball, go down there and score, and put pressure on them to match what you got going on, as opposed to the opposite when we're going to kick it to them and see what they're going to do. I mean, I guess there's a certain environment for that when you want to do that. Like if you kick an ass at home and you want to kind of switch it. But I do like the mentality of the offense saying, let's take the ball and go down there and score. And like I said, I don't think Dereck Carr, like last year, a lot of his stuff was off because of the fact that he was pumped with painkillers and he had all kind of issues delivering the ball accurately. But I mean, if you have enough tape to find out what kind of quarterback Dereck Carr is, he's a gunslinger. That's what I got from studying Dereck Carr since he's been in the NFL. Seen enough film from him, seen him all last year, looked at a lot of stuff from his Raider days. He's a gunslinger. And when healthy, He's the guy that you get a ball, you have your weapons in place, and everybody's doing what they got to do. And when the play action work, and you have a Chris Olave and a Rashid Shaheed taking the top off the defense because one of the safeties have to slip down for run support, and you got one-on-one coverage, and he put that damn ball out there and let Chris Olave run up under it. Let Rashid Shaheed run up under it. Let Taysom Hill run up under it. Elvin Kamara run up under it. So, I mean, the guy's a gunslinger, and that's just what you got to do. You got to kind of lend yourself to that. So if you can get that going, I could see him getting past 4,000 yards in the season if you're operating like that. But, of course, you need the running attack and the play action to do that. But he can give you that. That's what I get from Derek Carr. He's a gunslinger, man. When healthy, he has a big arm and he loves to throw that thing down the field. And we got the people to go and get it. That's the part that I was talking about, the explosives last year, about getting the explosives back to the Saints offense, because the prior year we had Andy Dalton there, and it was laughable. But like I said, man, we getting the running game going and kind of tapping into his true gunslinger mentality, man. That's, that we can only hope, we can only hope everything work out the way it's supposed to, man.
One thing I know about Max is he's a psychopath, and
Yes,
so he's gonna want to rip my head off. But
He's got his chains insured, bro.
100%. So I may actually wear that. I may wear that one that week to the game just because he bought it for me. It'd be hilarious.
Dude, do that, please. If you wear that chain to the game, oh my God, that'd be incredible. Okay.
Yes.
With the Raiders, man, like you still got people you vibe with there when you see them and the whole thing. You spend so much time there. I remember my first year in New England, we played the Rams. I went back to the Rams locker room after the game. Like my boys were like, "Get back here," and I was like, "This is weird," but I'm going back because we're brothers, man. Is that going to be a tough weekend or one you look forward to? And how hard is it going to be to just laser focus on the task?
It's because of AP's the head coach. I love AP. He was great to me, and I enjoyed my time with him. And because he's the head coach, and there's different people in the building, and I know Aiden. Love Aiden. Love Devontae's one of my best friends. Max, same thing. Like these are like my real friends. And so there's no like hatred. Like even Raider Nation. Like I love Raider Nation. I sign Raider jerseys and hats everywhere I go still, and that their love for me is been unbelievable even since I left. I got people always saying, "Man, we still root for you. We watch your games, and then we watch the Raider games." And so like that to me, like there's no like, oh, I hate these guys kind of rivalry. Like it's just gonna be like it's gonna be weird. It's gonna feel like a practice because I'm so used to seeing them on defense. But this time it counts, and so it'll be fun just to go against those guys, but it won't be like a very emotional week for me.
So who talked the most trash to you in practice that you're going to try to get after?
I disagree, man. It was the whole process, and I know I can understand Carr playing above it, but that all changes when that week comes. When that Raider game comes there, he's going to want to beat the brakes off the Raiders, man, because the way he left. I mean, they benched him and they unceremoniously marched him out of there. And a lot of people feel like Derek Carr deserved better than what the Raiders gave him on the back end of that year. Because I remember he was saying that in that matter of fact, that year that he didn't want to play for anybody else. He would rather retire. And of course he changed his mind later on. And then because the Saints was trying to get Derek Carr. They was trying to trade for him at first, and then, they worked out a trade. He stopped the trade and wanted to go into free agency to test his value. And the Saints were really the only, they had a couple of teams that were looking at Derek Carr, but nobody wanted to give him that kind of money the Saints was giving him. Nobody, not even close. But ultimately, Dennis Allen, the guy who picks him, brings him here, and and the rest is the rest. But yeah, that Raiders game, that's like Dennis Allen against Sean Payton. He wants to beat him. Yeah, he wants to beat him. And then on top of that, man, those are two AFC games. We need to get them anyway. You get me? Straight up. those are two AFC games, the Denver game with Sean Payton and the Raiders game with Dereck Carr. We need to get those games. Them two AFC games. We need both of those games, man, in the grand scheme of things. So yeah. He wants to beat their damn brakes off. He's just taking a high road right here.
Sure.
Oh, Max, 100% Max. Oh, we used to yell at each other. Oh my gosh, yeah,
That's great.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Rich, man, I know it's been a couple years see him pop up again, or if you think that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Like everybody on that team, you know, first time with an interim coach making the playoffs, you know, all this kind of stuff. And we had to win like our last 4 or something like that to get in, and all that, everything that led up to that and the moments that we had and the wins, like he absolutely had the heart and soul of our team. Like he had us, we would do anything for him. And, you know, going into that next year, I was like, you know, I'm going to try and get Devontae here, you know, just add Tay to this and like, let's just keep it rolling, you know? And then that's not what they decided. You know, all of us players let it known we want Rich, you know, and that's what we wanted. But obviously people have to make decisions that, you know, it's not our decision to make. And so, but with that said, he 100% is a head coach in this league. He needs to be a head coach in this league, and anybody that gives him a chance to be a head coach would, you know, one thing is your players, he'll get the most out of them. You know, he'll get the most out of them, and you would never regret hiring Rich Bisaccia as your head coach. He's one of my all-time favorite coaches I've ever had.
Yeah, every player I ever talked to, sometimes you think it's got to be that simple, doesn't it? A little bit. If the team's winning and the players love the coach, he deserves a shot.
Yep.
How about this Fuaga kid? Have you guys gotten to know each other a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
Yeah. He's one of those linemen you probably wouldn't like. He's just angry, you know, violent,
extra through the echo of the whistle.
Yeah, extra a little bit, and it's everything as a quarterback you want, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you want him to be nasty, you know, a little Richie Incognito in him. You
need one of those on every O-line, and I was going to say Richie would have been the one that came to mind on your Raider teams.
That's right, and Richie again, also a good golfer. Richie, big guy,
yeah, pretty funny guy to watch golf. He's just.
I don't like Rich Cognito, but I do like Fuaga. And like I said, if the temperament that, you know, the same comparative comment that was said about Fuaga in terms of big, nasty offensive lineman has an attitude problem in a good way, said the same thing about Penning a couple of years ago. So if that's the case, we got two big, young, nasty, mean tackles that are very athletic and strong. Yeah, we should be all right. But, you know, and we're going to finish up in just a second, man. I'm going to play a little bit of Drew before we get out of here. But do the Saints win the NFC South? It's too early to tell, but obviously. But the things that really make me think about what they need to do. And because it ain't about talent. They have the talent. I've said that. The issue with them is mindset. And do they have the right mindset? Are they hitting on the right attributes, the things that build the correct foundation for success for the team this season? And according to what I'm hearing and what I'm keep hearing, because Dennis Allen said it again in the interview about accountability, but he phased it toward Clint Kubiak and talked about his accountability, then made the comment, you know, that could be something, you know, that catches on to the team. So they're cognizant about the fact that accountability was a big issue, you know, and like I said, they've focalized on that point. So that's one of the things, attention to detail, accountability, because with those two items, I always harp on that, because with those two items, you can see all of the stuff that most people can't see. Like when I was talking about Derek Carr, if you study the film, you can see him obviously staring people down, and that's not a good thing any quarterback's supposed to do. When you see him just come out of the pocket and look left and stay left, you know, and just looks to that side and just just standing with the ball too long and just staring over there and not even looking to the right, you know, to see what's actually going on. Or It'll be a quick take where you doing it so quick that obviously you didn't study what happened over there. You couldn't possibly have processed it that fast. He'll do this and then go back to where he wants to be. So, I mean, and like I said, that was a lot of film, but attention to detail, that stuff would fix all that, because a guy that's focused in incremental and meticulous like Clint Kubiak or Andrew Janockel about every little step, like Carr saying that they own him, how he's stepping in the pocket, how he's doing this, how he's doing that. Fam, if you have attention to detail and you have accountability, you have these things, that'll fix that. That'll fix the progression issue that we talked about, staring down people. It'll fix the timing issue in the pocket with Derek Carr, and it'll speed them up to keep them on time with the offense. It'll also just fix a lot of stuff, because if you can get your quarterback, who's looked upon as being the leader of the offense, pretty much $150 million guy supposed to be the leader of the team. If you can fix him and have him sped up, that can definitely help everybody else out, especially with the offensive line, because we don't have any guys with issues offensively from the offensive line standpoint. Like, I ain't doing that. These guys over the last couple of years have been in a losing situation. You see what I'm saying, fam? It's been a losing situation. And everybody's ears and eyes are open for success. They realize it. So we don't see how it all looks. But me personally, I like the floor in which they've gotten. I've said this before, and I've given you the receipts on what these guys are saying. And Dennis Allen keep talking about attention to detail. He didn't talk about that as much as he's talking about it now. We've been saying that over and over again. These people finally getting it. So now that they focused on that, I think that'll, like I said before, I think the NFC South in trouble now. The NFC South is in trouble if the Saints are talking attention to detail, accountability, and all this kind of stuff, and they talking about getting the quarterback's footwork together, speeding them up in the pocket. No, that was good, but you need to do it faster, doing that kind of stuff. Some Kanye West Twister type stuff. But like I said, man, it's just I like the floor. Let me just put it like that. I like the floor in which they're building on, and I think that could be pretty good. All right, Math says when he speaks is something about it. I don't believe anything he says. I don't think Carr, like I said, man, I think Carr, they like Carr. Some people like Carr's personality, but and that's fine. But when we talk about football, that's two different things. Like your personality off the field when you're not playing football, that's one thing, versus when you're on the field, based on how much money you're getting and where the overall talent of the team is. That's what we keep account for when we talk about this stuff, because most people get in and say, man, he just got here first year. Fam, listen. We said this before. The Saints are one of the oldest teams in the NFL. See, everybody's situation is different. The Saints are one of the oldest teams, if not the oldest team in the NFL. They got all this talent all over the place. They got aging players on the team that you can still get a lot of value out. They got players coming up on contract years that are some of your best players that you want to get something out before they might end up leaving or going somewhere else. So if you have a window in which you're supposed to do something, and that window is closing fast. The last couple of years, that window has been closing fast, and we have not, the Saints, and we have not taken advantage of that. So when you put $150 million quarterback on top of the team, he was supposed to be the guy that solved a lot of the problems and help you make the quantum leap. You didn't leap into anything. You had 9 wins, but it was 9 playoff. It's a 9-win, 9 playoff year, which is basically it really don't count for nothing, except for the promotion people to say we got 9 this year, we're gonna get 10 next year. Really don't work. But when you start talking like they talking, Clint Kubiak and Janockel and all those guys, yeah, you can kind of take a lot of that to the bank. I really do think so. That's a whole nother thing. That was the biggest things that I seen studying this team, is why the Saints were failing as much as because a lot of the losses and the problems were self-inflicted because they were off code. These things put them back on code and where they need to be. All right, Tron says, Q, I remember my Google sign in to send a payment. What's your Cash App is $, the Sports Coma, bro. Thank you for your support, bro. All right. Shout out to Brother Don, man, for becoming a new member of the stream. Thank you, Brother Don. Appreciate you, brother, for that. Much love. Brother Ramsey, big ups to you. All right. And Brother St. Doug, thank you for being a member for the last 20 months. Thank you. I'm excited about how this offseason can look under Kubiak. I'm just keeping it. I like I said, and we've talked about this. Is nothing new with me. I'm pretty steady with it. And I say, fam, this is the issues. The team are not recognizing it. But like I said, Clint Kubiak is not going to let Derek Carr stare down the field. When they talk about progressions, he said that when he's on his progressions, when they were talking about progressions, that's what they were talking about. They don't say it, but when you talking about progressions, him going through his progressions, that was a big problem. And like I said, the man was pumped up on painkillers, so he was out of his mind most of them games anyway. So, I mean, like I said, man, I definitely think that they have something going on that is a positive thing. It really is. This is the floor in which we need to start winning some games. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised if the Saints will win games, man, because we need this type of thought process.
He's a funny guy in general, man.
He is.
Like it was like King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't even know how to handicap it.
Yeah. Of course they were. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's like this is what they're doing all day. So yeah, you don't even have to tell me, and I played with Richie. How about Clint Kubiak and the change coming, and you've talked about being somebody who's played for a lot of coordinators, even though you're on one team. What is the most important skill that it takes to pick up a new system, and then how excited are you to pick this one up?
Yeah, it's really the time that you spend on it. Whether you're here at the building, when I go home, I play with my kids, hit a couple golf balls for like 30 minutes, and then I'm like, I gotta get back to studying, and you gotta put that time. You have to put that time in, or else you're going to be behind the 8 ball of a Kansas City or a Dallas. You're not just competing against your room. It's like we're competing against teams that have been in their system for a while, and it's a great challenge for us. But the one thing I've learned is it's the time you put into it. And so really just being able to become a coach on the field, especially at quarterback, I know guys aren't going to know everything. Well, I'm talking with my hands. It's, you guys got this in the huddle, just pointing so that it kind of eases some anxiety for the receivers or the tight ends, and so there was a lot. I've been spending a lot of time just trying to be able to get to that level of excellence so I can help our team get there faster. And so Clint's an amazing teacher. I'll say this about him. He's an amazing teacher. He's an even better person when you're around him. And he holds me to such a high standard every day. Like I threw one today, I was like, oh, that's a great ball. I come off. He's like, yeah, just a little bit. I need it sooner. And I'm like, you know what? That's freaking awesome, because you're going to push me to try and be perfect. And so for me as a veteran player, that's all you can ask for. Just keep pushing me, keep telling me what you need from me, and I'll try my best to do it. And
that sounds like a good marriage to me.
Hey, you heard that? Which is, that's what we need. That's why I was saying, fam, I think they're in trouble. The NFC South is in trouble. That's what I think it is. That's what I was saying, because he was saying that he felt like he had a good rep when he threw the ball, and Clint says, yeah, that was good. I just needed, that's getting him on time. And like we said, we knew, that's the recipe in which you get a lot out of Derek Carr, because that's the same thing that happened with Chucky. Chucky was the same way. Chucky was on him. And you seen what happened last year, and I know he was banged up a lot of those games, but Pete Carmichael was as soft as it gets. As soft as he can get. He wasn't applying pressure to the Saints offense like they needed to. And of course, it was his weak and meek demeanor. He kind of looked like a little mouse, and looked like a little church mouse, right, with the glasses and the hat. So who's going to take him serious? But, anyway. But Clint Kubiak here, these guys here, they're serious business, man. They got a good system. They run it with confidence because they did it confidently in different spots. So they know it can work. And plus, he says he took the job because of the players. This was very early on. He took the job because of the players. And that's why I was telling the family members, listen, if the offense excels in the way we anticipated it is, you could see Elvin Kamara with similar stats with Christian McCaffrey had last year. That could be Elvin Kamara, and if he can get Carr on code and on pace, you can have a 4,000-yard passer in Carr, maybe because I know Brock Purdy had like 4,200 yards last year. Carr could definitely do that. He can put up 4,000. He did it, three years in a row with Chucky or something like that. It was like 4,000 yards. He can definitely do it. He's done it multiple years. But that's the recipe to get him there. And that's what I'm talking about. I absolutely love that, man, because that's what you need to win. All right. Yeah, that's what we need. All right, Tron, you said, can you put it in there again? You're talking about it's on the scroll. It's on the scroller. As you can see it right here. It says Cash App. It's $ the sports coma. THE sports coma. COMA. $ the sports coma. There you go. It's $ the sports coma. Yes. SP the sports coma. The sports coma. Yes. All right. So yeah, it should pop up there, man. Make sure I got it on there, right? Because I thought I put it on there, right? I think it's right. It is $ the sports coma. The sports coma, not just sports coma. It's the sports coma. All right. So anyway, yeah, man. Eugene says Derek Carr comes off as a used car salesman. Every time I see his facial and physical machinations, still hopeful for the best for him and my Saints under new offensive management. Indeed. Yeah, he's very vivid, except when he's selling word salad. But, I think, like I said, I think he has talent, but you have to stay on him, like with most, not all players. Because some of these players are self-motivated, like Elvin Kamara, Chris Olave. You don't have to stay on. Those guys have a high degree of what they need to do or to stay at that level, especially Elvin Kamara, man. Elvin Kamara could play football right now if you need him to. He's always in great shape. And Chris Olave, they have a professional mentality. Some guys you don't ever have to check. Thank you, Tron. I appreciate you, bro, and I appreciate you, my man. All right, yeah, it's going. Like I said, I think the NFC South is in trouble, man. When they start talking about the attention to detail and all this kind of stuff, man, come on. That's what we need to win.
I thought I did that right. No, it was almost perfect, babe.
That's right.
You
That's
need
right.
somebody to even when you were riding high, just to give you that little bit of constructive criticism. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. 100%. Just
Yeah.
And the one thing I love about it is like I don't ever want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
As a player, I've learned, especially as I get older, like make me uncomfortable, whatever I have to do. So then game day is just like whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for young quarterbacks?
Wouldn't that mean giving them some competition behind them, like bringing in somebody to kind of push them on keep them uncomfortable? Remember that. That's very interesting because we knew that a lot of times people, especially last year in the black and gold building, we were talking about comfortability being an issue with the Saints brass at the top because we've supported them so much, giving them a golden age of success as a franchise. They've never made as much money as they made now. Then, of course, the league has changed a great deal. They became more of a marketing engine, and they use their resources and their pull and power to, not having anything to compete with it, because that's a big thing. NBA does the same thing. They become monopoly leagues who threaten networks that if you put this league on here, you can forget about us. They do that, which would explain why you don't see any professional leagues that's actually competing with these people. Their monopoly situation. It's just, raw business, how they act, and which is trash business in my idea, because competition is good at every level. So having a competing interest at the quarterback level, like you have a veteran quarterback or a group of young quarterbacks that's seriously pushing the veteran that's making $150 million, that would be good. But that doesn't seem like the mentality. Like they bring in Nathan Peterman. Peterman is no disrespect, as he's a severe drop off, in my opinion, than what they had last year. And And I don't think Derek Carr sees a first-year player and a rookie as a threat to him, or Nathan Peterman, a career backup who has zero threat. So I'm for the competition model. I just love to see the Saints have more competition in the higher levels of the organization in terms of some of the decision makers. Like I said, reformatting that whole thing, making Dennis Lauscher a vice CEO or something that ties to money and nothing deals with in terms of him becoming the proverbial president of football operations for the Saints, which would imply that he has a high degree of football on the field, which he doesn't. He's a businessman. He doesn't know a lot about football on the field, and he don't know a lot about football with the Pelicans, and that's the same position that he has. That needs to be pulled from him, and he needs to maintain that business position, but have another player. I'm not a player, but a person rather, who occupies that position that does have those traits. That guy, and I think we got a lady on the Pelican side. I think that should be Swin Cash. To me, like I've said that, I think Swin should be very high in the organization. She's a winner. She won everywhere. Hall of Famer, college, won 3 championships in WNBA. I mean, come on. and like I said, that's one of the things that I think we need to have. We need more. We need to format this thing differently. And plus, Mickey's getting up there. He's getting kind of old there. If you want to keep him with a VP, have another president up there. I wouldn't make him the president. I would bring in some fresh people in here that kind of add the direction to the team, because we kind of operating like from the past. We got an old ass model here, man. We need to change this up. Just looking at the future, man, we got to change this up. Because that's the problem that we having with these fresh business ideas. Like, we shouldn't be operating in the red all the time. What's going on here? What's going on here? We got to change a lot of this up. Let's finish this up, fam.
These rookies now, they got so much pressure on them. I feel like I know who they are 3 years before they get drafted. We're counting down. What advice would you give them? You were a high pick. You had success. What does it take?
Yeah, I always say this. I was like, you gotta, you're gonna be praised and you're gonna be criticized. Ignore both, because neither matter.
Yeah.
I don't care if you go out there and you go 7 for 7 in your team drill. Like, it doesn't matter. Do it again. I don't care if you go out there and you throw, 2 picks, in practice. Get over it. It doesn't matter. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep pushing yourself, and keep that. You got to keep your mindset like, I'm the best. You got to keep that mindset of no one can stop me, because this game, as man, it can bring anybody down. It's tough. It's hard. We got players talking about football stuff, ex-players talking about football. We got media, you got this, and it's like everyone has something to say, and everyone's putting their opinions, and it's like, well, which one do I listen to as a young guy, and which one? It's like, what? Whether they're saying good stuff or bad stuff, it's okay. Like, just move on and keep working. Like they got a job to do, just like you have a job to do. And I think that that's the best advice, especially for this generation, that I can give is, like one of our young guys, he threw 2 passes he probably didn't want, or, like that. I'm like, bro, I'm the first one. I walk straight to him. Who freaking cares? Rip the next one. That's how you're going to get better. And so I had a guy in Matt Schaub that did that for me.
Matt,
I would make a mistake. He'd be like, dude, who cares? Throw the next one, rip it.
Yeah.
And it gave me confidence to just be me every day.
And who's the rookie? You got Rap.
Very interesting take that was, and I can, a lot of that I can tend to agree with, because the thing is, simple for me is I just listen to the truth. I mean, and how do you know the truth? If you're a football player, you have a code that you was given as a football player that make you a good football player versus a bad football player. There are a set of fundamentals and principles that you're supposed to be adhering to at all times. It's a code. I mean, the entire football world it's the same as life, but everything they do is governed in the same way out here. It's governed, it's codified. There's a rule, when they sign on, they're part of a union. And there's an agreement that you sign. Your contract with the team is a code. It's a behavior code that the players are defined by, and if they step outside the lines, they get penalized. We know this. We see this all the time. So, I mean, the truth is, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then, you're going to have some detractors that just probably just don't like you for whatever reason. And that's fine. That goes with it. But that's not really logical. You tend to kind of discard that, but your blessings and your information is going to come from you many different ways. You can't be on an island. It's not made that way with social media and everything like that, because it's not just a diehard like myself that been doing this show for years saying, listen, I don't have an agenda against any of these players. I just want you, if you're going to put on black and gold, I want you to represent us the correct way. No agenda. I want you to win. But if you lose, it's not because of effort. True. One in the chat if you agree with me. That's how I govern. That's how I act. So if you see me upset, it's because of what happened when they criticize players. That's unfair. That's when I jump into action. Or when they, that's what I'm saying. The truth is you listen to the truth, man. And I mean, we ain't in such crazy mixed up times where you can't tell what the truth is, man. I mean, they got a lot of people out here that behave like that. But let me tell you something. Everybody know what time it is. Even the rotten ones out there doing rotten things to people, they know damn well that if somebody turn around and do the rotten stuff that they was doing to them, they wouldn't want to do it. That's how they know what they're doing is wrong. So what I'm saying with Dereck Carr's situation is you have to have the ability to discern. That's the ability to decipher between what you could use and what you can't use. That's how you learn. And that's how the good Lord will give you information from various sources. And you keep your ears open, and people will give you good information. They'll give you good game that you can apply to your life that can help you to ascend. I've done it. Many y'all have done it. You never know when something that's going to come to you that's going to help you get the key to get to the next level in your life. I'm telling you how this works. Sometimes you can meditate and it'll come to you. Sometimes you could be outside just having a conversation with somebody. Sometimes you could be listening to somebody give you something that you ain't heard before and give you a key or a jewel and say, you know what, that's it. It happened all the time, fam. It happened all the time. So like I said, man, I think they're on the right course because I like what the structure that they're building. It seems like to me, based on what I'm hearing, that they're headed in a direction because they're getting on code. Last year, they wasn't on much of a code. The backstabbing code, throwing your team under the bus code, none of that kind of stuff. And they're going to win you nothing. That's when people start losing and people don't want to be on a losing organization. They start losing faith in it. And players get upset because they're losing. And some of these players are perennial winners. They come from winning environment and they don't like the feeling of losing. And they're getting paid regardless. But if they're upset that they're losing, that's not a bad player. That's a good player. Because a bad player don't give a damn. He'll keep collecting that check. A good player is upset that they're losing and wants to change. And if he can't get the change or figure out what's going on, then he's gonna go somewhere where he can win, or she can go somewhere that it's just human nature for winners. It's a mentality, and like I told you, when you have a winning mentality, man. And you got people around you that don't care about winning or just perennially losing, man, that can drive you insane, fam. It's all about the mentality. It really is.
Rattler down there?
So we got Rattler, and then Hayner was a rookie last year.
You like Rattler a lot? He's a good kid.
Oh,
yeah.
Been
bothering you for advice nonstop, I hope?
Asking a lot of questions.
Good. We like rookies that ask questions.
As a veteran, that's all you want, man.
Yeah.
Like, just he has so much respect. He's like for what I've done and the things that I've been able to do, which I haven't done everything I want to do, but done a lot of stuff.
You've been there. You've seen a lot. Yeah. And so he should ask questions.
Yeah. Yes. I asked a million. And so to see him be that hungry and see Jake be that hungry, like as a veteran, it just helps our team because I'm like, dude, this is awesome. And they're great people. great teammates, great leaders. And so I'm excited for their future. They're going to be good players.
Okay, who are some of the players in division 1 year in on defense that you're like, that guy doesn't get enough credit, or I noticed this guy when I turn on film?
Yeah, I would say J.C. Horn is an amazing corner. Now, I know everyone was high on him and he had the injuries and things like that, but when he's out there, man, that guy's an unbelievable football player. And I absolutely love watching him play. Jesse Bates doesn't get enough credit. He had a pick six on me last year where he was the middle field safety in the red zone. We ran a choice route. Never in my life on a choice route am I thinking about the middle field safety. This dude, I put my eyes on him. He's in the middle. I go to throw the choice and he picks it off. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, no one does that, So
well, you weren't the only one. He got a few people last year.
Yep. It's just I've because I that play in particular to me is probably the worst play that Derek Carr made for me in that season, because he threw a pick six to a Falcon player and it contributed to the win for the Falcons beating us in that game. Matter of fact, that game was the game where I lost that game, which means I had to put on that Falcon shirt because of this. So pardon me for being a little upset about that game, because I actually bet my dog Big Low, who runs a Falcon platform, y'all know Low, and that was the thing, that the Saints would beat the Falcons. I felt like, man, we should be able to beat these people. So when that happened, I had to put on the goddamn. I lost the game because of that pick six and other things. They just sucked. And then I had to put on a Falcon. Me, diehard black and gold man, had to put on a Falcon jersey. And I don't even hear the end of it. They still putting that up on social media. Good thing he can sit up here and laugh about it, because I don't find it was funny. I found it was pretty sad. That's why I had to pause and be like, man. And he said he looked at Jesse Bates. He said he looked at him. You know how many times I studied that play, family? How many times I studied that play? Because I couldn't understand how he looked and he stared the wide receiver down. And it wasn't an accurate ball. That ball was either going to be looked like it was going to be either knocked away or intercepted by the cornerback that was on the wide receiver. I forget who he was throwing to. I think he was throwing to Rashid Shaheed. Y'all correct me in the chat, because a lot of the details of it I just abruptly forgot because it was such a terrible play. But he said he looked at Bates. Me, when I was studying the tape, it appeared to me that he didn't see Bates. And if you did see him, you didn't look him off. You didn't look Jesse Bates off. You didn't even pump fake. He looked at the guy, stared him down, and the ball was going to that other cornerback. I'm telling you, it would have been picked off by the cornerback that was on the wide receiver he was trying to throw to, because it wasn't an accurate thrown ball. And Jesse Bates read the whole play. You can look at Jesse Bates' eyes on the all 22. He's seen it. He's seen Carr's eyes directly to the ball and took it home. It was probably one of the easiest interceptions that the man ever had, because it was so simple. He didn't pump fake to freeze him or nothing, or pretend to go in one. He just stared it down, threw it, pick six to the house. Oh yeah, by the way, he thanked him. He told him good job on the field after he pick sixed them. So I mean, like I said, man, it's just stuff like, dude, maybe that's like a Raider thing that you do, stuff like. But dog, man, listen, that's why I said that really kind of got me upset because I had to put that Falcon jersey on. I lost that because of that bull. Now, you're not supposed to be doing. That's why I was saying about the stare down thing. That has to be changed, man. That's not something you do. You don't. He literally stared the receiver down, and Bates read the ball, his eyes straight to the ball. He basically telegraphed, "Hey, man, I'm throwing this ball here," and Jesse Bates is going to go and get that thing. So I mean, I don't find that funny, man, because I had to put that Falcon jersey on, man. See, and they all remember it. They all remember it, The dark side, nope, I put it out my damn mind. But I could tell you, you take your ass over there and go look at it. What, this is a Raider dude? Yeah, I forgot who the wide receiver was. I think it was Rashid Shaheed. But that doesn't matter because he wasn't gonna get the goddamn ball anyway. Jesse Bates or the cornerback that was guarding the wide receiver was the one that was going to get the ball. So you can go look up the play for yourself. All right, so anyway, let's go on to the next thing, man. This is Drew, as we're going to go to some light side. This is little Drew right here. This is shout out to Drew Brees, man. We're going to play a little bit of this. This is Drew the Legend gain entry into the Saints Hall of Fame. And of course, we got a little bit more time before he gets to the actual Hall of Fame, so I kind of figured it was Rashid. Yeah, it was Shaheed. I said it. I thought it was Rashid Shaheed. But, in the end, man, does it really matter? Like I said, Rashid wasn't going to get the ball because the ball was thrown behind him. The Raider defensive back, Falcon defensive back who was covering him, looked like he was going to pick that ball up because I was stunned. I was like, man, Rashid didn't have a chance at the ball because the ball was thrown slightly behind him toward the defender. And Jesse Bates just stepped in there and just read his eyes and just picked it and took it to the house. But don't worry about that. Worry about me forgetting it was Rashid Shaheed, even though I really didn't forget it was Rashid. I said it was freaking Rashid Shaheed. But the end result was what? A goddamn pick six to the house? People are stupid as hell. Y'all know that, man? Dumbasses, man.
Yeah, we've told this story many times. The injury that forced me to leave San Diego. Never thought. Went through so many ups and downs there. I thought I was going to be the starting quarterback for the San Diego Chargers forever. Felt like I'd kind of paid my dues there and been through a lot and fought through multiple quarterback competitions and getting benched a few times and. Them bringing in people to take my job and, all those things, right? And I'm so grateful for that, because I think that molded me in so many ways. And it really helped me develop a lot of great mentors that became mentors for me even to this day, but certainly throughout my career. But point being, I thought I was going to be there forever. And all of a sudden it felt like it was taken away from me in the blink of an eye when I had my right shoulder dislocation in the final game of the 2005 season, going into an off season where I didn't have a contract. And to say things looked bleak and were pretty scary, I take myself there at times and I really thought I might not ever play football again. And that was to feel like your dream was just totally being ripped away from you. And best thing I ever did was go see Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham, Alabama. And have him look at me and say, hey, it's bad, but we'll get through it. And I'm not even sure the extent of the injury until I get in there and take a look at it. So as I was being put under, the anesthesia, getting ready for surgery, I still had no idea what the future held or the extent of the injury. And I'll never forget waking up from or just coming out of the anesthesia in the recovery room, and I'm looking at Brittany just going, where's Doc? Did they have to cut me? Did they have to cut me? I was saying all kinds of crazy stuff, and Dr. Andrews comes in and basically says if I did that surgery 100 times, I couldn't do it as well as I just did it. And I say, well, that's what you want to hear. But he said, but now it's on you, and it's an 8-month process before you're going to be able to throw again, and it's going to be 2 years before you feel normal again. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, you'll find out. So that was pretty daunting, pretty daunting. And still at that point, it's okay, well, we did the surgery, but it doesn't mean that anybody's going to be interested, right? Especially since free agency was only 2 months later in March of 2006. And, I'm 8 weeks post-op. I can't do anything other than just lift my arm to here, right? So when Mr. and Mrs. Benson come and pick me up, and me and Brittany in Birmingham, Alabama, and all I can do is barely shake their hand and do this. I don't know how much confidence that instilled in them at the time. But to say that that our visit here was nothing short of amazing. It was divine. From the moment of, look, we pull up to the Saints facility here, and half of it was still taken over by the National Guard, right? So they sneak us in the back door. The window tint in the limo as we were driving from the airport to here was the darkest window tint ever, like you couldn't see out of it. And they told me, well, we just want you to have some privacy. No, they didn't want me to see what that drive with all the devastation. But, we show up here at the facility and have a chance to meet everyone, and Sean Payton immediately gets on the blackboard and starts drawing up my offense from San Diego. And I said, well, wait a minute. I thought we ran the West Coast offense, and that's your style. He said, no, we're building this thing around you. I said, so we're taking everything that you're good at, and we're going to put you in the best position to succeed, and we're going to do this together. And so right off the bat, it was like, wow. I thought first-time head coach, coming in with all this pressure and all these expectations and so much to prove. I thought it would have been a my way or the highway approach all the way, but it was much different. He was making it a collaboration, and he instilled a ton of confidence in me right away. Going to eat at Emerald's restaurant, where we got to sit in the kitchen, and Emerald's whipping us up a meal, basically saying, hey, you sign here, I'm gonna cook your first meal in your house. He hasn't done that yet. He still owes me, Emerald, if you're listening. But to a person, everyone who came up to us at that time said nothing about the New Orleans Saints. They said everything about, thank you for wanting to be a part of this city. Thank you for considering us. We would love to have you. So you just felt the culture, you felt the love, you felt what is, makes this place so unique. And then, of course, Sean driving us to Mandeville to show us the house that he's building, saying, hey, look, there's places to live, you can raise a family, it's not all devastated, and then getting lost in Lakeview and, stopping the car because we couldn't drive around the tugboat in the middle of the road. But that was when we felt the true calling that we belonged here, and not many opportunities in life do you get a chance to be a part of something so much greater than yourself. And it was about resurrecting one of America's greatest cities, and we had a chance to be a part of that, and we're forever changed.
That was pretty awesome, man. That was a good little breakdown, man. Drew. Yeah. Because the free agency situation that was happening was because you had Drew and Dante Culpepper, and Miami, who was being ran by Nick Saban, who was the head coach and general manager for 1 year before he went to Alabama. That next year he went 8-8. He was trying to get a quarterback there, and it was between Dante Culpepper and Drew Brees. And we knew that based on the situation that was going on with the team, nobody really didn't want to come to New Orleans, man. New Orleans was coming off a losing year. The city was underwater, ravaged, the practice facilities and all that kind of stuff. So it was it was difficult recruiting players to come here. So yeah, you couldn't have picked between New Orleans that just came, that was underwater, and Miami, a lot of players oh man, who wants to deal with this? But it was the right move. So thank you, Nick Saban, for doing what you did that 1 year, choosing Culpepper over Drew Brees, man. So thank you. Big ups to freaking Nick Saban, general manager Nick Saban, for making that charge, man. That thank you.
Drew, you and your family made a ton of contributions to the city. Is there a particular achievement or anything that's most impactful to you?
You know, there's I mean, so many incredible memories. You know, honestly, the best memories were the people and my teammates. Yeah, I felt like we had something really unique here. You always, you know, you talk about, you know, how do you build a great team? Well, you got to have a great core, right? And when you have the great core, that's what helps define the culture, right? And then in every team, hey, you have pieces that come and go, right? You know, role players or this or that, or, you know, needs here and there, and they just assimilate into the culture. But the culture is built by the core. And I always felt like we just had an incredible core, right? Like when I think back to the receivers that I had early in my career here. You know, Marcus Colston, Robert Meacham, Devery Henderson, Lance Moore. Like those 4 guys for 7 straight years. Like, when has that ever happened anywhere else? Those 4 core, and like the way that they complemented one another and the way they set the tone with the way that they practiced and just like everything about them, like they inspired us all and certainly made my job a lot easier. Like our offensive line, like I have this like my favorite. One of my favorite pictures in my office, besides that of my kids and my daughter and my wife, you know, playing sports or what have you, is this picture of our O-line from the Super Bowl, right? And I'm just sitting there going down the line, and I'm like, man, Bushrod, Nix, Goody, Jari, Stinch, and then Streef as our jumbo tight end at the time. Obviously was a mainstay as a starter here for a long time too, but I mean, those guys inspired me every day, and I wouldn't have been able to accomplish any of those things without them, and it certainly would not have been as enjoyable without them either. Like they were the reason that, you know, I wanted to walk in here every day and be my very best, was for guys like that.
Drew, one of the classic photos of all time was you winning the Super Bowl.
Yes, indeed, man. Drew Brees, man. The core sets the culture. The core sets the culture. The core. Yes, indeed. So I mean, that's from the legend. That's something, you know, we know. We definitely agree about that, man. That's a lesson for our current Saints. The core sets the culture. They got to set the culture, fam, for winning again, because we forgot. We got a little amnesia on that right now. We got to get back to winning.
Raising your son up after the Super Bowl. Can you relive that a little bit for us?
Well, I can't do it anymore.
What was that like for you?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny the visions that you have. And look, I was a sports junkie growing up, right? Like, that's all I wanted to do. Me and my younger brother Reed, just outside, out in the yard, playing sports, denting our parents' garage with tennis balls, pitching to each other, you know, breaking the neighbors' windows, don't get any ideas, but just playing ball, you know. And, you know, everything was a competition, and everything was visualizing what we hoped to come, right? So you're on the basketball court. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? You're making the game winner. You're sitting there at the free throw line, you know, having to drain 2 free throws to win the game, or, you know, Ted Williams, you know, 3-2 count, bottom of the ninth, right? Like all that. And so one of those visions was Super Bowl champion, and I'm going to be holding my son. So when it actually happens, it's hard to put into words.
Congratulations. Can you maybe put how you regard it now as a unanimous soon as you're eligible, in the context of how you felt you may have been underestimated coming out of high school, coming out of college, coming out of surgery, and so forth, and kind of weave that together as what's the moral of that story and how you feel about it.
Yeah, so I think I'm a product of not getting what I want. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, had you asked me what I wanted when I was in high school, and I was an athlete, I was playing football, basketball, baseball, like the order of the sports that, had you asked me, what was my favorite, I would have said baseball, basketball, football, right? So if you asked me what I aspired to be, I'm going to be the next Ted Williams, right? Like I'm going to go on and play college baseball, play in the pros, play baseball, right? Football was something I did because I love the game. I love to compete. But really it's because I lived in the state of Texas, and that's what we did. We played football. And it was a bit of a family tradition. So that, number one, never thought I'd be necessarily a professional football player. Number two, when it did come time to, hey, all of a sudden, I'm starting quarterback for the varsity, and we're going on and winning a state championship, and I'm having a chance to play in college, and I want to stay in the state of Texas, right? But nobody in the state of Texas wanted me, right? So my only two offers were Purdue and Kentucky. And I chose Purdue, honestly, because first off, I felt when somebody first told me I was being recruited by Purdue, I thought it was Ivy League. So I didn't even know Purdue was in the Big Ten. I didn't know where Purdue was. West Lafayette, Indiana, by the way, in the middle of the cornfields. I'll never forget my first visit to Purdue University in the middle of January. All I heard was how beautiful the campus was, red brick buildings. John Purdue owned a red bricking company, so the charter was that all the buildings on campus would be red brick. I show up and there's like 15 feet of snow on the ground. I can't even see these buildings, right? Can't even see my hand in front of my face, right? It's snowing so hard. So I'm sitting here going, what am I doing? I'm a Texas kid. I'm supposed to be playing baseball, and now I'm coming up here to the middle of the cornfields to play football. But I chose Purdue because of its academic reputation, because in my mind I was thinking I'm coming up here to get a great education. I'll go off in the business world and make a career out of that. I had success at Purdue University, expected to be a first-round pick, because I think in your mind, I think that's how you're kind of judging your own value, is the higher I get drafted, the better the better that people perceive me. At the end of the day, it's not about that. It's about ending up in the right place. And I fall to the second round, but I go to the San Diego Chargers. It was the best place I could have gone, because I had a chance to play behind Doug Flutie and play for Marty Schottenheimer. Two incredible influences on my career. I wouldn't be the player that I became without them. And then going through all the adversity that I went through there. Never would have expected being benched so many times, or having people brought in to take my job, or having then to suffer the injury, which then led me here, right? So all of these examples of me not getting what I wanted, and yet it was molding me, it was strengthening me, it was turning me into who I was supposed to be, and it was extracting the best out of me. And it's what I try to tell these boys all the time, and tell the high school kids that I get a chance to coach and others, is that it's not supposed to be easy. It's meant to be hard, and you have to look at every bit of adversity as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn, and it's, our point A to point B is not God's point A to point B. It's always going to be this, and it doesn't mean you're not going to get there, but you're going to get there when the time is right, and after you have had a chance to learn and grow and battle through that adversity. I always worried about guys who showed up in this building here and hadn't faced some adversity. It usually ended up being a tough road, and usually they didn't make it. It was the guys, and I think it's why we hit on so many undrafted free agents throughout, our tenure here. The guys like Lance Moore and the Pierre Thomases and others that, they weren't drafted. They weren't highly recruited. They had to earn it every single day. They played with a chip on their shoulder. They never took it for granted, right? So I think I just got to that point where every day I woke up, I felt like I had something to prove. And I was motivated, inspired by the teammates that I had a chance to play with and for.
That was powerful, man. That was good information right there. Remember, I just talked about you getting game. No matter where you get it, you got to write a right combination of words said a certain way in a certain tone that can inspire people. That was well said, man, and that was awesome what Drew Brees just talked about. And we know Drew Brees is a guy that's he's pretty, he's spiritual minded. Um, he believes in a lot of motivational things as well. He's a guy that practices not only meditation, but he also is a visualizer. And I would say he's a high degree visualizer, because I remember there were games where Drew Brees would visualize, like he would go to practice and there'll be nobody out there on the practice field except for him. And he'll visualize, he'll go through an entire game visualizing the game and what he needed to do. And that's why in majority of the games he was prepared. When he got through his trials and tribulations in San Antonio and got to New Orleans, he didn't take nothing for granted. He really didn't. He was always the first in the building and the last to leave. He helped people out. He was really good at teaching people. He was excellent with the family base. He was great with the media. And he was just a champion person, man. Drew Brees, and still to this day, Drew Brees gets a lot of respect and love for people because he left a sterling example of how a football player is supposed to be. Even then, he rubbed some people the wrong way in the team. He apologized for it and said that he would learn, and he did. And like I said, man, nobody's perfect. But how could you listen to what he just said and not take any inspiration from that? That was damn well said about trials and tribulations and using himself as a example of what he went through. And he said it elegantly. He made mention of the fact that your A and B is not God's A and B. Sometimes it's a little, trials, and everybody up in here know they done been through some stuff and they have things that they want to accomplish. And it might not be seeming like it's hitting for you right now, and sometimes you get caught looking at other people, which is what you're not supposed to do. You have to understand everybody got their own path. If you really are serious about walking it, you got to walk it on through. So, I just love that example of what he said, man. So yeah, that should be, I'm gonna kind of stop it on that, because that was a great story and a testimony. Pretty much that was a testimony that he gave. And you can look at Drew. He's emotional. You can see he choking back some tears because it's an honor, and ultimately we know we're going to see Drew in the big Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. That's the guy, undersized, not the biggest arm. So like I said, you got to know the story. It's an inspirational tale. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the strongest, thrower of the ball, but he found a way to get to where he wanted to be. He got into the NFL with his stature, with his not being able to be, not the big arm that the NFL wanted, but he beat a lot of the guys with the big arm, statistically speaking. So it just talks about, things that you feel like you might need to have. And he just did something else. He just focused on the mental aspects, his accuracy, and became more accurate than most of the quarterbacks with the big arm. It's just amazing, man, the Drew Brees story, man, like many others. And Drew Brees deserves this, man. So congratulations to Drew for his Hall of Fame induction for the Saints Hall of Fame. And listen, in a little while, he'll be put into the big hall. No doubt about it. First ballot Hall of Famer. That's what Drew Brees is going to be. Little Drew from Purdue is a Hall of Famer, a Saints Hall of Famer, and future NFL Hall of Famer. First ballot. So with that being said, man, we're going to cut out on that, man. Listen, I appreciate all you guys for chiming in on our reaction stream for today. Much love to every last one of you guys. I hope you had a good time. Please do me a favor by hitting the like buttons. If you're on YouTube, if you're in Facebook, Twitter, or X, or Instagram, wherever you are, give me a like button from where you are. Shout out to our Instagram families chiming in on us. That Carr cat, shout out to you, fam. And K Ackett, hope I'm saying that right. And If Ghazi, Shout out to some of the family members on the gram and Twitter and all those places, Twitch. Big ups to you in LinkedIn. Y'all hit the like buttons respectively. Listen, fam, we're gonna bounce back. And we'll see about tomorrow. We'll see what's going on tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it'll probably be on Saturday. We'll come back with another stream, maybe a call-in stream on the weekend where we hear from you guys. We'd love to hear you guys' takes on the Saints so far. But yeah, man, this was a good reaction stream. Reacted to 3 different interviews today, man. So I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. But listen, thank you, Atlanta, Georgia faithful. Appreciate that. Thank y'all, man. Divine, I see you, fam. Appreciate you as well. Big ups to y'all. Man, listen, I'm gonna get on out of here, man. Y'all hit the like button and share, and I'm gonna holler at y'all on the next one. We'll be back probably. I think I'm doing the Pelican post game report stream tomorrow, covering all the latest stuff on the Pel. So y'all be looking out for that. Got some other stuff that will be dropping on, some boxing commentary as well. All that stuff will be happening coming up close to the weekend. So I'm gonna holler at y'all on the next one. Much love, and who that to you.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That, you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the pro shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue.